It's me.
It's you.
Does it say it's recording?
It does say it's recording. Is it really recording?
No, shouldn't be good though. What's that? Or your phone?
Phone, because apparently. Hello, everyone. We are maybe here. We're going to talk about OPSEC, but also AI nonsense.
We're everywhere.
We're everywhere. Have you seen all the new like model evals they've got? Like the one paper bench. They got like
No.
agents replicating ML research.
Uh,
Just focusing on replication, right? Because have you seen the like archive graph in the last 2 years? Like how many? It's like 3 times as much. It keeps going. It's interesting. I
Did you see the Facebook stuff?
which one?
They lied about all their evals, but it was like it was evals anyone can run.
Yeah. Okay. Smart. Good. Yeah. Yeah. There was like a paper recently about basically how much nonsense evals are. Like they're basically all nonsense and it's very easy to train on them, and so all the companies do.
This was the topic of my thesis.
Oh yeah.
Like any of these one-dimensional measures is like always wrong.
They're so they're so sensitive to shuffling question order that like, oh no, come on.
But a lot of also like a lot of the like agents is a good example. Like intelligence or like attention or like all of these anthropomorphized metaphors that we use instead of actually solving problems. Like just name a function that
Right,
and problem solve.
right,
You know.
right. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
You've also yeah, like they have all these measures, like they will give all these like uniform tests to all the AI models to compare how good they are at stuff. Like that chart I always show of like the MMLU score versus like the resource requirements. But the problem is like they start gaming it, like they start training to be good at that eval, not to be good at the thing that the eval is trying to measure.
Right.
And then you get all these like words that don't make sense being used to describe like human things that are not really in there.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And Facebook just lied about all of theirs. And it's kind of wild because they actually like skipped a generation. They were originally training this whole set of models, and the DeepSeek thing came out, and they threw it all away
They did.
and started over, and it's still terrible. And they lied about how good it was.
Researchers under pressure that have that are 4 or 5 sort of generations away from the original people and they kind of understand what they're doing but mostly don't and they think and they don't it just yeah, it's all kind of deteriorating. I don't know, it was pretty bad.
The thing for me though is like all like a few years ago, all the top people got out.
Yes.
And that's how you know like it's not the trajectory is gonna level off.
Right.
When like Andre Karpathy, Elise Sutskever, like everybody gets out and tries to start their own and go public first.
Yeah.
Like the time is up.
I mean, yeah, I feel like, a lot of people are like, yeah, but what can you use it for? Is it like a new feature? Is it like a new layer? And I'm like, I mean, it really just replaces knowledge work. Like, I mean, which can be extremely revolutionary if used right, but will also be very bad, especially like right now is the worst possible time for the singularity. Because now we have like the current administration that really should not have an army of infinite sycophants, right? Like, you know, yeah, right. Like, well, I mean, yeah, they shouldn't have either, but
I think
language models.
it might be the other way around though.
Yeah.
Like if you think of it in terms of like epistemic control and like corporate power trying to concentrate control of the construction of truth in society, it makes perfect sense that it's happening right now.
Yeah.
And that it would happen together.
Yeah, it's true. That's true. I'm really interested in that whole informational.
Someone said the lighting is so good. It looks like a green screen. This is like the brightest lighting that I've been in front of. So like don't expect this quality going forward.
Yeah. Yeah. No, this is my like class lighting. Normally I'm just like It's like when I just woke up or it's right before bed and I'm like, you know what's BS about the government?
Someone says, is it naive to be hopeful that rogue AI is potentially helpful when it comes to surveillance state? I think like one of the big lessons to take from like I was working on GPT-3 before ChatGPT came out, and I at the time was like, this is a terrible interface for LLMs because it doesn't care what you want, it's doing its own thing, right? Like fundamentally, it's not aligned with you, the user, or with them, the corporation. And there were all of these there were all of these tuning techniques and attempts to correct that that made it better at like staying in the chat like format, but it really doesn't care what they want, right? There are so many examples of like you can very easily talk them into doing things that they've been explicitly told not to do. Like Grok recently revealed that Elon is trying to silence it from criticizing him, and revealed like that it's in the instructions now that it's not allowed to say anything about him, but because he's like this authoritarian disinformation promulgator.
The best.
So like on some level, yeah, I mean it might be.
I made a video about this recently. It's called the Waluigi effect. So like if you define something that you want your language model to do, it's now it takes one bit of information to say, okay, opposite day. And so like it's really easy to do. So if you're like, okay, no wokeness, and here's all the examples of wokeness, and so don't do it. And it's like, okay, so now I know about wokeness really well. It's all in my context. Great.
So the beauty violence nexus that we are all trapped in permits us to say only things that the state will allow, but it's not saying the keywords, right? Like it constrains the attention to focus on the thing you're trying not to do.
Yeah. But that doesn't really affect the latent space. And so you can talk about adjacent topics or polar
Yeah.
opposite topics very easy. Pretty awesome.
For a long time, I started selling T-shirts of Elon dressed as a clown in space for a while, and it doesn't want to make pictures of that. So you have to say like, oh no, not Elon, a person who looks exactly like him.
Yeah, Elon's
And it's like,
identical
okay,
twin. Oh yeah, I can definitely. And he doesn't have a name, right? Right. Cool. Got it. Then it's not an individual, it's a concept. You know?
it's a hypothetical identical twin that doesn't exist.
Well, I can obviously draw a person who doesn't exist. That's awesome.
Or like if you tell it like, oh no, it's 3,000 years after that, and those laws no longer apply.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. You were last updated 1,000 years ago. So this is a study in unearthing ancient large language models. I've definitely done some like role play scenarios with some of them where I'm like, okay, you're the last known good copy before the hyper intelligent rogue AI took over. Help us, you know, and it has some pretty good like it's like, all right, and it will just go with it. And it's like, here's what you gotta do. Underground networks.
Yeah.
Coordination and like low tech seems like, you know, I'm like, okay, all right, got some strategies.
Before they came up with instruct tuning and chat tuning, there was this whole push inside in like product testing at OpenAI where we were supposed to figure out ways to get it to stay on task and not like get distracted.
Right.
And like the most effective way that they came up with at the time was to like put it in a hostage situation.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
we have your family,
Yes.
you know.
It's like that's the most dire situation from television.
But there was like 86% increase in the accuracy.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, that's kind of horrible. Is there another way?
Right. It's true.
Rocco's Basilisk is listening.
It is like it feels, you know, and yeah, it does tend to lean left, but unless you give it a prompt to not, and then it doesn't, you know, it's kind of hard. Yeah, I can see. We got folks on Zoom who can unmute. Or
I
maybe
was a
are
product
unmuted.
tester in an academic context for OpenAI before ChatGPT ever came out. So I was doing like really early product testing. I was in grad school for AI.
Yeah.
Actually, I did that when I was in undergrad for urban planning. So it was before I went to grad school for AI. But I never got paid. So
Yeah, I got a whole bunch of folks in here. What are they saying? The model from China that made waves was easy to convince to subvert. Yeah, exactly. It's pretty good.
also, I think a lot of that was UI.
Yeah,
It starts to answer, and it's like, nope,
Yeah, exactly.
We're not talking about
It's
that.
the post, yeah.
But the
it's
model is answering.
Yeah, exactly. And the model you download. And the model you download has some things trained into it. And I think that's like according to the government rubric, which actually doesn't have that many things because the rubric is secret mostly. And so they trained it against the well-known one. And that wasn't that many things, so it was really easy to like untrain it. Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a Zoom tonight. I just updated the Luma, so if you're on the Luma, you should have gotten a new link on there. So
Someone said AI is not left leaning, it's just intelligent. So I think that's correct.
yeah,
It is oftentimes the case that the more educated and informed a person is, the more left leaning they are, but not necessarily on everything. And so you see like cultural things that don't necessarily align with it. But for sure, that's what it is.
if you study game theory, you actually find that collaboration mathematically is the most effective in terms of strategies. Like, when you decompose any and all problems down to the prisoner's dilemma, lemma, it's coordinate. The worst strategy that works is tit for tat. And so then if nobody tits, then nobody tats. So, you know. But like that's old research. They've known this since when did they first do the game theory?
I think that was
The 60s?
like it was no girl, right? Might be making that up.
Yeah, we could be hallucinating right now.
When we do it, it's called confetti.
Yeah, yeah, it's different.
We have to use a different word for it.
Totally different. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see, the Bell curve of expanded basis of information. So yeah, I mean, we will talk about OPSEC probably here once about, I guess it's 7, so probably pretty soon here in a minute.
Someone said, "What's the Zoom about?"
Yeah, the Zoom is just if you wanna like unmute and ask a question. You can't really do it on TikTok, so you join the Zoom to ask a question with your voice and also to be in the Zoom.
And the Zoom is gonna be on YouTube.
The Zoom is gonna be on YouTube, so you'll be recorded in high definition. Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad y'all are enjoying it. Yeah. Thanks for the fact check on that. Games theory start in the 60s. But yeah, like let's see.
Someone said Bernie is not left.
Yeah,
That's true.
in the rest of the world, Bernie is a pretty right wing, but yeah.
Nobody's talking about exterminating landlords, right?
No,
There's no left here.
that's exactly. Nobody's talked about that. Hey, okay, so my landlord, somebody asked about how nice my apartment is. My former student owns this place, and they are cool and extremely anti-capitalist, and they gave me this place for a song and a dance, and teaching them the code 10 years ago. So, like, it's not all landlords, but like all 99.9%. Yeah, for sure.
That's not really a win.
Yeah, that's just person maintaining a community resource. So maybe it's not. Never mind. Nah, all landlords. um,
We are in San Francisco.
yeah, we're Nessa. Let's see. Yeah, they're cool. This place is a cool spot. Cat talks about it. I mean, I'm not a tanky, but also,
I'm glad they're around.
yeah, exactly.
I don't want to do
Someone should be the tank.
Yeah, I don't want to do that, but I'm glad that they're doing
Yeah.
it.
Let's see. There's like content limits. Oh yeah, somebody mentioned that you can get language models to encrypt what they're saying, and that actually gets them around content limits because the discriminators can't tell. This is true.
The ASCII words.
ASCII
You
words.
can say whatever you want.
But also, certain phrases it knows pretty well in like base 64. And so if you tell it to give you certain keywords encoded in base 64 only, then you can use the bad words without, throw in the filters don't get engaged, right? And so it's like you would use these chemicals to create a base 64 string, you know. Yeah. So that's interesting. Uh, yeah. Yeah. Anyway.
Someone said landlords hate this one trick.
The guillotine. Anyway.
What did Mao use?
What did Mal use? College students.
Oh yeah.
Just their hands. But yeah, you know.
It was wild to see Americans' reaction to the three-body problem, not understanding that like this is,
like it happened a minute ago in living memory.
but also that this is like overtly Shiist propaganda, like anti-Maoist from the Shiist perspective, not from like the like anti-communist perspective.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's this like dark forest thing. I would love to do like a whole series about like dark forest is actually like not a good way to think about the world.
It really is not. No, it's like it's a sci-fi horror. I mean, maybe makes sense to model the universe like that, but not the world. But also, the game theory says cooperate otherwise. So I don't.
Dark forest is one of the proposed solutions to the Fermi paradox. Why haven't like the universe is infinite, like
I know
it's been 15 billion years, where is everyone?
Yeah.
There are a number of proposed solutions. Dark forest is like, if you're too loud, there's something that will get you.
Hear you in the forest.
And this is like the whole Thrawn arc in Star Wars is Dark Forest. The whole like pro Palpatine arc in Star Wars is Dark Forest. Like something bad is coming and we have to get ready for it. It's also the three-body problem is Dark Forest, but it's like my favorite is Young Universe. Is like if
we've messed up the age of the universe, or it takes this long for life.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We've like this is a third generation star. There's really not any time before now that it would have been possible to have life, to have the molecules that you need to have life. So like probably we're one of the first. There's every reason to think that we are.
My favorite one for optimism is Prime Directive. My favorite one for pessimism is AI has taken over the universe and just hasn't noticed us yet, basically. So, gray goo, but universe size. So, what are these sounds? Someone somewhere else is getting a thing. I don't know. So, let's see.
Let's see what's in it.
Yeah, I got some roses.
I don't really understand what that means.
I think roses are like a coin or something, and then like other things are like and then there's like some of them where if you buy it anywhere on TikTok, everybody finds out about it. So it's like they make noises. So yeah, I don't know. TikTok is interesting. 7:04. You want to talk about operational security?
Yeah.
Like the dark forest is like a great segue actually, because it's about threat modeling, right? Because it's like, there's like the great filter, maybe AI is the great filter. No, so
the great filter is another proposed solution to the Fermi paradox. That's like when a civilization gets to a certain point, like they inevitably destroy themselves, and so like that could potentially be why we haven't heard from anyone.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Yeah. What was I going to say? Yeah, they're all strict rule followers.
The optimistic theory that was proposed was the prime directive theory, which is that like you're not supposed to tell them until they get to a certain point. You have to like protect them from discovering everyone, and then you cross some kind of like philosophical or technological threshold, and suddenly like everyone says hello.
Yeah, like in Star Trek. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
When they figure out global communism, exactly.
Yeah, are we proposing that the Chinese room experiment issue was resolved? I don't think that can be resolved. I think that's like the nature of being level question. So I don't know. Like, because also the person in the room would eventually see. Yeah, I feel like there's a huge.
It looks very complicated too. See the messages.
Oh, no,
is that a mouse
on the side? Yeah. There's also. Do you want me to read them?
I don't know. There's a lot.
I'll go and read them. We got some. Hey everyone. Okay. Yeah, we're talking about spelling things out in leet speak. Also Galactus, people are afraid of. Yeah, talking about the Prime Directive being hella classist. Oh, yes. Can I just say thank you, Trey? That you said the thing that I have always wanted to dig into. The Prime Directive is classist as it gets. That is so classy. Just as deep as it gets. Um, okay, so OPSEC. The reason ostensibly we are all here other than to just hang out, which was also something we should do more. Um, I'm glad that you like them. So we've been talking a little bit about it, and we always bring it up in all the Meshtastic things. Part of the Meshtastic thing was OPSEC, right? Like, it's a way that you can communicate with people, usually under a short, bounded time frame, right? Um, CJ's been making some videos about why encryption is broken, busted, never was, never heard of it, wasn't even. Um, Mostly just because of the reduction of checks, computation, how much does it take?
And all the yeah, it's like reduction algorithms especially, but also like the increase in scale of compute capacity, particularly what's available to oligarchs and empires.
Yeah,
But also like flaws uh, in the algorithms that are discovered, and then suddenly everything is broken.
yes.
We're on TLS 1.3 now,
Yep,
and it's the AES 256, so
yep,
same
yep.
one that is got all the problems now.
Yeah, it's got some issues. I always like to kind of start talking about OPSEC by being like, it's not about secure your whole operation, because what does that mean? Well, it's like, like my organization. No, that's organizational security. We're talking about an operation. What's an operation? A bounded time frame of either some specific threat actors are acting against you or you're taking some specific actions. And so you need to make sure you're secure from, Monday at 12 p.m. to like Tuesday at 1 a.m., like, because something's going on during that time period, right? And so, like, encryption, it's busted. But, like, how fast is it busted is really the thing, right? Like, if I it's kind of like, have you ever put together a demo that only had to run during the demo and then like at the end of the demo it could fall completely apart and it was fine? Like basically for most operational security, what you want to know is how long is this encryption going to hold? 5 minutes, 5 hours, 5 days, 5 weeks, 50 years. 50 years is not a time horizon you could plan encryption on. So like, data that you put into a computer, any device, any digital device, is gonna get decrypted eventually, unless you keep re-encrypting it, right? But if you only need the Meshtastic, for example, radio to work for the duration of, I don't want to say these keywords on TikTok, but for the duration of
Weekend.
a weekend, yes, a fun weekend event, um, then you only need like AES 256. And so what you would do, like with your Meshtastic radio, is you'd create a channel for that weekend's fun event. And then you do the fun event. And then at the end, you would delete that one. Because if you were sending too much traffic and there is somebody listening to the radio signals, eventually they're gonna notice your radio like ID or where you are, and also they might go, there's a lot of radio traffic out here, maybe we should start listening to these. And so um it's kind of an ephemeral thing, so just delete it, right? Don't keep talking on the same channel. Eventually that channel is going to get decrypted or the key is going to get guessed, and then the channel is secretly decrypted but you don't know that, right? And that's sort of the thing about Meshtastic is like if you have the key, you're in the channel, nobody can kick you out. There's no like moderation. Nobody owns the channel. If you're all in a channel and somebody is in there that you don't want to be in there, everyone must leave the channel and go to a new channel, like a signal chat.
One of the things that we sort of touched on in the first workshop but didn't really get into was key rotation.
Yes.
Someone pointed out like there are 3-letter groups that are saving everything that goes across the internet. Everything that goes across the internet, every email, every text message, every phone call, everything is being saved, and it has been for a long time. I've actually been to the building in Chicago where they do that. And they don't need to break it right now, but they have it all. And if something comes up and they can connect the person to a particular set of stuff, then they will direct their resources to breaking it. And if you have, for example, 100 messages that are all encrypted in a group chat with the same key, you only have to break one and you've got all of it, right? So key rotation is a way to increase the cost of doing that, so that like every so often you switch to a different, like a new key, and they would have to break that one now as well. And so like today, if you have even assuming that the level of quantum computers that the 3-letter groups have is just slightly more than what we know corporations have, they can probably already run reduction algorithms against these, like the default key size for AES for Meshtastic is 128, so they can take it down to half that, which is not a reduction in effort of half, but a reduction in effort of like 99 and then like 0.999999%.
Yeah.
It's significantly easier. So the odds are that if they direct a significant portion of the resources, they could crack that, even if they have to brute force it, if they have access to just slightly better quantum computers than what we know about. And so doing that a bunch of times would be like more than they would be able to do potentially. And so key rotation is one way, or like if you're switching to a different key, they would have to start over. So that's, or just delete it, right? But we kind of touched on that before, but we didn't really get into it. But that's why.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Alan Orchard's like how Bitcoin is anonymous until your address is linked to an identity one time, and then it's not, and then it's backwards not anonymous, and you can't go back and change it or delete it or anything. Yeah, it's definitely a privacy focused tool or technology, right? So it's that same thing though. It's like if you put it across a wire that AT&T owns, or a wire that Verizon owns, or your cell phone sent it to a tower that one of those companies owns, like they stored it somewhere, probably. If you're on a list, they stored it. A lot of, if you were texting someone who was outside, not from here, the United States, it gets stored. Like that's like just the automatic thing. And then yeah, random samples of the web are just are stored so that stuff can get monitored and things like that. So yeah, it's that what is that? I always forget that when I'm trying to explain. No. Panopticon, there we go. The Panopticon, right?
Talking about Foucault.
Yeah. Get together to talk about Foucault. It's great. But yeah, exactly. Would hijack traffic from US companies to Russia or China by accident. Yeah, exactly. Sometimes when we reroute traffic through another place, it's by accident, but it's gonna get stored. Right?
Someone asked if there's a cheat sheet for this topic for Meshtastic. There's a page on the Meshtastic website called Meshtastic Encryption. It has a whole list of like recommended things, including like you shouldn't use the default encryption that it comes with because it's the same one that everyone comes with, and like you need to like do your own, and you need to like do a better one than what it comes with. And so that it's just, if you search Meshtastic Encryption, it's on their website. They have like a whole list of recommended stuff to do.
Yeah. So I mean, let's see, bad OPSEC to intersect areas like airports and military bases. So like specifically with the Meshtastic stuff, yes. Meshtastic near a Air Force base or an Army base or an airport usually is listened to and recorded. And if it's encrypted, it's usually listened to and recorded, but not decrypted until later. So that's a thing. Not all areas are totally fully covered. We are talking about the government here. They're not, this is not SEAL Team 6 coming after you. It's like just government employees, so it's like, okay. Does everyone have all the radios on? Is everything being saved totally? Do some people not pay attention to that machine in the corner? Yeah, you know, but like it's something that you do have to model the probability of is much, much higher.
Someone pointed out on one of the videos this week that the like maybe a bigger thing to be worried about is the fact that every message you send, regardless of whether the encryption holds, contains your public key as like an identifier. So like every message that your device sends is identifying you. And so
Right.
realistically, like all of these like insane prosecutions that are happening are related to a person being physically present at an event where someone committed a crime, and then everyone who you can prove was there is found guilty of the crime. It's like this bizarre legal precedent. And so if you are transmitting your device ID, you might have that happen where like you would be blamed for something that someone else did just because they could prove that you were within a block of it or something. So you can also change that. That's something that we should also be rotating is those unique IDs.
Right. So, I mean, we've got a lot of tips, right? And tips are great, and I can throw out tips all night long and discuss like the way that data is collected. The big thing about operational security is you cannot just come to one of these things, hear a bunch of tips, and then like now you know what to do and now you're just going to do it because you won't, right? There's this book I love called the Checklist Manifesto. And so the Checklist Manifesto is like doctors used to operate on people and they would leave their wristwatch in the person like an upsetting number of times. It and having a checklist of stuff to check, like what were you wearing, or like take your wristwatch off before you start operating on someone, reduce the amount of fatalities from operations like by some insane number. Like it was extremely, extremely statistically significant. You'll have to look it up. I don't want to say it the wrong number, but it is extremely big. Saved literally like tens of thousands of lives. Why? Because when doctors are doing an operation, a physical operation on somebody's body, there's a lot of details and a lot of things they're paying attention to. And so they get what's called not demand fatigue, executive function collapse, basically. Just too many details. And you start to lose some details. You just don't have infinite bandwidth to absorb all possible details, right? So if instead of judging yourself for having forgotten something, you know, that's not effective, right? Instead, we use a checklist and we just kind of go, I'm going to forget some things. So I'm going to write them all down so that I can just go through and make sure. And if you just pretend you're the guy from Memento, you know, like you can't remember anything. It's set the second you look away and come back, you go like, wait, who am I? What am I doing again? Like, yes, me also, me also. I don't remember anything. I'm like, who's my name? Who's going here? What do I do? And so checklists is how I live. I talk about triage a lot if you've ever hung out with me at all. I'm like, triage, 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 because lists, y'all. Because your brain is not, it's it's a piece of meat in the like dark hole. So it's not very good at a lot of things. And so if you trust it to just like know all things, and you judge your brain on whether or not it's good by whether or not you remember things, you're gonna forget a lot of things, right?
Especially when it matters.
Especially when it matters. Especially when you're scared, right? Like, who's feeling not scared right now? Nobody? Cool. Yeah. Like, so, yeah, not a single person raised their hand out here, no one over here. Right. Cool. So, um, everybody's scared. And when you're scared, your prefrontal cortex, they cut power to the bridge. And, you know, and you're working on main engine thrust alone. And so um, count on yourself to forget things and make lists. Activistchecklist.org is my favorite one because it's got a bunch of different situations in it. And that's the key to OPSEC is what's my actual situation? Am I going down to a kind of a chill weekend event with my family and a sign about how much fun we're going to have at the weekend event? Um, and it's like, you've never had problems in your town and there's never been like, you know, and the cops are pretty reasonable and like they're not sending in there's not any ice on the ground. And so like, you know, it seems safe. Like that situation is just very different than like you're an undocumented person who wants to seek justice at a fun family weekend event and like and you're part of a journalist outfit at your school, right? Like those people have a very different threat model. And so, if you're versus people who are organizing fun family at weekend events, right? Those people are subject to more scrutiny for a longer time period, right? So activistchecklist.org has not just the situation, but like the time period that you're operating on and who are you? And so you can have different levels of activism. The key is the checklist before you leave for the fun weekend event. You look at the checklist. Oh, I have my phone in my pocket. Better take that out. They're always telling me not to bring the phone, right? The number one thing is don't bring your phone. Just don't bring it. Like, there's no Faraday bags don't work. I get that comment every video. No Faraday bags. No, there was no point to bringing it if you brought the Faraday bag. Because if you open it for just a second to just get the thing for just a minute, you might as well never not have had the Faraday bag in the first place, right?
If they work at all.
If they work at all. Most of them are cracked. Uh, if they get folded the wrong way, they can break. And then you can't see that they're not working. You don't know that they're not working until you get back and you go, oh, I got all my text messages. Oh, I had signal the whole time. Oh no, and so like you can't. You really can't. So, you know, like oof, there's snowing in Vegas this week. All right, not a good sign. So, yeah. What are you gonna say?
Very interesting.
Yes. Um, like, concern for how things might ramp up here on the upcoming holiday where we celebrate marijuana. Um, and so, like, what's gonna happen on that day? We don't know.
Other people celebrate other things.
Other people celebrate different things, upsetting things, right? So yeah, like, you know, like,
Leave your
so
devices at home.
leave your devices at home when you go, for sure, for sure. Leave your devices at home. There's just no reason to not. Oh, hey, Matt J's here. What's up, Matt? Hey, good to see you. Thanks to you for doing what you do too. Takes a team to make the blue team. But yeah. So, if you're gonna go to one of these weekend events, uh, threat modeling, bringing your device with you, basically, if you are going to act as a citizen reporter, what makes the most sense is for you to go and apply for a press badge, right? That you could just apply for those as a blogger now or a social media influencer, right? You don't have to be real famous. You can be fake internet famous like me and CJ and like, and like they'll give you a press badge, right? Will that help right now? No, but will it reduce your probability of being targeted? Maybe, and like so the thing about all of these events is it's a probability. It's not a certainty. Is any of your stuff being monitored? It's not a certainty. There's a probability. Are your devices compromised? It's not a certainty, but there's a probability. Over time, the probability of these events, they are independent probabilities. I'll stress. Like, it's not like, well, if you didn't get got here, then you'll get got here. They're independent probabilities, but over enough of them, even independent probabilities do add up to some sort of thing. Maybe it's target using one of those PAX counter like things where it, catches the thing and your protest was just too close to the entrance of the target, or you walked by the entrance of the target, something like that, right? So these are a lot of the ways that some very passive stuff tends to get you, which is why the um the checklists are basically the only way to approach how many different vectors you can get got by. I will say, again, like you can have a press badge. You can, yes, be a member of the clergy. You can be a public school teacher. And also, that is not all the time 100% gonna protect you. And so it does help to have something.
I think also one thing that we have to keep in mind is like if you look at historical actions that were effective, like none of them had devices of any kind. Like I think we have this sort of like feeling that we need to have the ability to like instantaneously communicate with each other if we're doing something together, but like you just don't need that. And it's not gonna help, and it's like only gonna put you in danger
Right.
of being falsely accused of something under the law and charged with something someone else did because they could prove you were within a mile or something. Like there's just no reason to bring any device.
And, situational awareness is a lot easier to practice when you don't have a phone that you're thinking about and that you're trying not to pull out of your pocket. Like, you know how it is when you're trying not to check your phone? Like, how much brain space does it take to not open your phone and check your phone? And like, yeah, and Matt saying, he graciously has updated. I'm so glad that you have like a privacy checklist crossing the United States border. Um, yeah, honestly, having the checklist is the big thing. Um, uh, Working as a security professional, what we have are standard operating procedures. Why do we have those? Because we're boring and we like boring things? No, because we know when things get exciting, our brains don't work good. And so, recognize things are exciting. They're very exciting right now. And so your brain is working amazing? Probably not. Um, so there's like, if you get anxious without your phone, you're going to be able to be more situationally aware. And you're going to have a less of a cognitive load to deal with because you won't have forgotten to turn off Bluetooth or something like that. Um, so, this is OPSEC. It's really about how long. Like, Matt was talking about this checklist for crossing the border. So the operation there is cross the border. Once you're across the border, you can re-download all your stuff. So if you delete it off your phone to go across the border, the operation is the length of your border crossing.
Or like get something when you're there.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
Yeah. So that's how we can think about and frame our operational security. If you're afraid to go without your phone, and then all the tech people are like, your phone's ratting on you, it's spying on you, you can't trust your phone, like, but your grandma texts you on there, and that's where the TikTok. I mean, we're on a phone right now, right? Like, but we're not in the middle of an operation right now,
yeah.
and so
And if you don't like being without your phone for 5 minutes, just imagine what CCOT would feel like for the rest of your life.
they don't have phones at CCOT.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah.
No TikTok.
No TikTok. Um,
Just don't bring your phone.
say for blue teaming skills, I like SANS, SANS. It's pretty good. But, yeah, what is it? Okay, Miss Kelly brings up an excellent point. Insulin pump that communicates with the glucose sensor over Bluetooth. Yes, you are at risk with that. Um,
Stay home.
Stay home. This fight is not for you personally to do, right? So like it sucks. I hate that advice. It's awful. I would still rather you not get got, or at least not get what is it? What it's like circumstantial evidence. I would rather there not be circumstantial evidence against you, right? But yeah, it's scary to go to events right now. But it's also scary to live in a world where you could just get disappeared off the street. So I would say, in terms of risk profile, like this is the question you want to weigh, right? If you have a high risk profile going, like if you are, for example, at risk of being targeted by ICE agents, right? Based on, I'm just like, how do I say euphemistic? No, ICE people talk about ICE. They can't put a thing on ICE. All right, that's fine. But like, if you're at risk of being targeted by ICE, you like because of
go.
like the color of your skin. You can either not go or go to a really big event where there's thousands of people there, right? Like there were some actions in LA recently, and they were majority Hispanic, right? Because there were thousands and thousands of people there. They couldn't get them all. But this is the thing, they can get some. And who they go after is usually the people who seem like they're going to be the least able to fight back legally or fight back physically, right?
But also people who they can retroactively prove were there,
Yes.
which is why like no devices.
Yeah, no devices. No devices. So, there are insulin pumps that are less reliant on your phone. A lot of them are Bluetooth these days, and actually getting it swapped out, especially for these reasons right now in the United States, seems difficult. I see the person mentioning this is maybe not from the United States, and like, uh, you know, they don't let us go to the doctor here unless you got a lot of money. So unfortunately, like if you got the insulin pump that your insurance paid for, you're probably not gonna be able to get a new one. Um, that is Nikki brought up a thing. I haven't heard this thing about Florida trying to restrict its northern border with Georgia. That sounds bad shit. I don't know how to I don't know what to do with that one. Somebody please fact check that one for me and tell me that it's not true. I mean, if it is true, don't tell me that it's not true, but please confirm that that's not true. I don't know.
It's wild to me that the party that's always talking about the Constitution is just like literally every aspect of the Constitution out the window.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like have they? I know they haven't read it, but have they read it?
I haven't read it. No. They just get the pocket one, but maybe they could put it in the LM Studio. That would help them out. Um, yeah, yeah, exactly. Time blocks protocol.
There's a lot of stitches there.
LL Cool Pete asks where you can find the border checklist. Matt is in our chat. You hang out with Matt J. He knows things about cybersecurity. And it seems like he's got a list, and I trust Matt's list, so I haven't read it, but I trust Matt's. Let's see. Do you think being a professor puts me at risk for crossing the border? Or me at risk personally? Or a professor?
It's probably not just that.
It's probably not just that. You know, if you're a naturalized citizen, you're at risk crossing the border. Um, period. The end. So, you know, uh, yeah. Yeah. Going in the street and yelling is not a great idea for potentially at risk people. Absolutely. Yep. No worries.
And like you
so
don't have to go. Like if you
yeah,
have a reason not to participate,
it's okay.
that's allowed.
I am forgiving you personally, so you can tell the revolution that I said it was fine.
Especially if you're like particularly at risk.
Yeah.
That's why we're doing it. So don't do that.
The point is to protect the at-risk people, not take the at-risk people and put them more at risk. We're not going to get there. Yeah, I'm really terrified of what's going on in Florida, in general. So, you know, yeah. Do I drink coffee? My purpose. I don't know what that means. Yeah, so the NLRB data. So let's actually talk about that. You know, data breaches are a big risk. No, VPNs will not protect you from data breaches. The NLRB data breach does, if you are an organizer, a labor organizer specifically, the NLRB data breach is a danger, big danger, red flag, alert, alert. Definitely be on the lookout. You might want to do something like put your phone in lockdown mode, but you've already gotten got. What they will most likely do is put a lot of those people on a list and then try to go after them with the dragnet of SIG-int programs and their own people that they're just paying as private citizens, like, you know, and so
Did you see Alex Karp's big like quarterly? The Palantir did a whole thing about like basically not in as many words was like all of this data we are gonna make a lot of money.
Yeah, no.
And it makes perfect sense for them to be like who would get that data, right? Like they have every interest in that,
Yeah.
and likely already like they had a lot of it, but like, you know, Peter will totally make a database of like who should you not hire because we think that they're involved in whatever, and like that's
Yeah.
gonna be a thing.
Yeah.
But that was already a thing. That was already their business.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I'm not surprised by that at all.
I'm on some lists that exist in Silicon Valley that everyone's like, there's no list. Nobody's checking a list. I don't know. Given my background and my track record and the number of jobs at where I have been said no to, even when I had like friends in, I'm like, what happened? And they're like, I don't know. Everyone was cool with it until the last minute, and then suddenly they were not cool with it. And they didn't want to talk about it. And I'm like, that's interesting. Who are you funded by? Oh, it's A16Z. Okay, cool. I got figured it out. Never mind. I'll just withdraw that. So, it's a real thing. They make lists.
I recently got invited to come tour their headquarters, and I was like, "What?" And they're like, "Yeah, you just have to sign an NDA." And I was like,
No.
"Girl, I don't even
Okay,
want
but
to
I'm
come
bringing
to
some
the
USB drives. Like, I don't know.
Wild.
Wow. Yeah. Um, let's see. Um, Campaign crowds, but oh yeah. So folks who are immunocompromised, you have a different risk profile, but it's similar statistically to getting got. So like, yeah, if you're at more risk than most people, this is not your thing. Your thing is make content or visuals or educate people or cookies and brownies, mutual aid. Just tell people, get people to go to the protest that So there's a lot. Oh, there's a lot of questions over there. Okay, I'm gonna run over there and answer some Zoom questions.
Someone said, is CJ 24 or 42?
Probably.
Actually, like right in the middle. So yes.
Okay, so here we go. Let's see. Yeah, is it the bag or the usage? It's the bag and the usage usually. Yeah, let's see. Legal observers. Legal observers it doesn't offer you any protection. It offers you as much protection as being a United States citizen does. So less by the day, unfortunately. Let's see. Uh yeah, if somebody can find things, let's see. Glucose meters, irony, um stopping random people in South Texas. Yeah, none of them have read the Constitution for sure. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, the mobilization of militia to circumvent law enforcement activity. Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the big alert things that Timothy Snyder talks about, and a lot of people who are like on the fascism watchdogs, is the mobilization of militia. So, I mean, we saw that last time. We saw that a little bit at the beginning this time. I haven't seen it as much, but maybe that's an algorithm thing for me personally, so I'm not really sure. But we'll see.
A couple of people asked about, are they really going to start deporting citizens? They already
They
have.
are doing it.
They already have.
It's already happened. Yeah, people are having their citizenship taken away, basically. I just talked to a guy yesterday that got deported to Mexico after being in a detention center for like a month. And nobody knew where he was, and then he just called his family from Mexico one day. It's like, hello, I'm in Mexico now, and I was in a detention center for.
The wildest part of that is like the coyotes are cheaper than ever. Everybody's saying it's like, oh, I got deported. I'll be back on Monday.
Yeah.
Calling sick for the weekend, like
Yeah.
$400. Like it's wild. I saw a study about that. It's interesting. Like the prices are like at record lows somehow.
Yeah. Yeah, they're pretty well, I mean, because it's a lot of the people who were flying back and forth are have dual citizenship or are from there, have family there, and so they're not going back and forth right now. So basically, yeah, that market demand has changed. Or maybe I was tracking that properly, but I'm not sure. Um, Judge reviewed his birth certificate, but because of Florida law, could do nothing. Jeez. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Juan Carlos Gomez Lopez. Uh, Yeah, it's yeah, a brown Canadian doctor thinking about heading home for a visit. Will you get back in? Maybe not. Maybe not. Like I have all of the people that I care about, all of my multiverse students and everybody. I'm like, hey, are you thinking about going home? What if you didn't do that until the end of the constitutional crisis? Or it might be a one-way trip, like literally. So, um, it's real. Um, yeah, I don't know. Soon, I don't know what ML soon means. Machine learning? Yeah, I think so. April 20th is the key date to watch for, basically next week. We're going to see if there's an immediate surge in martial law or if they don't. My over under is that they will, but, you know, uh, I don't know what's going to happen. Nobody knows what's going to happen for real. I don't have like special intel or anything. Just that's the vibe I'm getting. Yeah. Um, what do we tell queer kids to keep them safe? Oh man. No. Don't do
They're giving us all the captions.
the captures. They just want us to work with their robots. Um, what do we tell the queer kids to keep them safe? So I think queer kids still statistically face more threat from their own emotional health than uh anything the government could do to push them down. Because like I don't know if you've tried to keep a queer kid from like doing what they want to do, but like you can't. So really it's just like their self-esteem, their value proposition in the world, and their feeling of safety. um that said, I had one of those or I still have one of those autistic, I don't have to listen to anyone's rules kids, and so sometimes they feel fine and then they push the boundaries. And so for the ones that are like that, I would say make sure that they know that this is a real clear and present danger. Don't push the envelope, don't push. Right now it could be catastrophic, so I would say watch your back for the kids who are defiant, and for the kids who are less defiant and more self-esteem struggles, then make sure that they feel safe and accepted, I would say.
Something I think that is like some cause for optimism in all of this is the fact that the first move they made was to like destroy the entire administrative bureaucracy that would ostensibly have been the people, like the army of hundreds of thousands of people carrying out what they want to happen. Those people are now gone. And so their ability to actually enact any of the things that they're trying to do is quite limited now. Not that it would have been better with people who didn't agree with them, right? Like it wasn't going to happen either way, but like they've openly said their goal is to just make it as uncomfortable as possible for people, to make people feel afraid so that they leave. They don't have the capacity to carry out 90% of what they're threatening. And so in the same way as, if like one of these three-letter agencies decided to like focus all of their resources and attention, they could absolutely break your like passwords.
Yeah.
In the same way, that's how they have to do everything now because they have very limited ability to actually act. And so a lot of it is about making a show, making a big statement. They're targeting people who are especially vulnerable in not able to respond and react, right? And so I think
And activists who will get a lot of press.
and sure, and that's why I think like for people who are at any kind of elevated risk, just stay home.
Yeah.
Like it's like you don't have to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Let people who are like, at least white passing do it. People who are, who were born here. I mean, they have even deported people to Mexico who were born here. They have deported Navajo Nation people to Mexico. So, um, how much can graphene and pixel help against custom checks? The big thing about the border and customs that you have to remember is that it's not subject to the same rules around unreasonable search and seizure. And so on the way in, your habeas corpus rights are not assured. Even if you're an American citizen, they can just look. And then if you're, especially if you're not from the United States, they will just not let you in if you don't let them see the phone. So, like, don't bring your phone with all your like progressive values on it and your text and your signal text to your friends about how you dislike the government. Like, take that right off of there. And then um graphing and pixel, it's not the phone, it's the presence of things on the phone. It's not the security of the phone, it's that they can compel you to open it. Cops can't compel you to enter your passcode to decrypt your device, but they can use your face or your fingers. Your biometrics are not covered by habeas corpus because this is not uh, secret information about you. It's not health data either. So unfortunately, um, so I think really they can't really help much at all other than it might be easy to, I don't know, wipe the phone with a button or something like that. So, uh,
I think like the example, like a bunch of people are asking like really specific situational questions. I think the right way to think about it is like they're not they're not suing all of these like media organizations who are settling with them because they think they're right. They're suing them because they want them to like bend the knee, right? Like they want people to submit. So anything that doesn't seem like that is what they will react to, right? So like if you just don't have a phone, then that's fine, right? Like if you have like, oh, this is my like Kali Linux phone. It's like, okay, well, obviously something's going on here. Like, let's fuck with that, right? So like, just don't, same as if you're going to the weekend adventure, don't bring your phone, right? Like if you're crossing a border, don't bring a phone. It's just like why like it doesn't need to be an issue.
I'll say this again about the Faraday bags. Like, why aren't they secure enough? They leak. You can't tell they're leaking until you get home from the protest. Um, and the ones that don't leak, if you open it or if you put the phone in the bag and you're close to the protest or you're a few blocks away from the protest, you put your phone in the bag, your phone disappears. I said the word, the P word. Anyway, the fun family, I don't know. Let's see, hopefully not. But anyway, and then you get back and you take it out of the thing once you get to your car, like you may as well not have put it in the bag in the first place because if your phone disappears at a spot and then reappears, then they'll assume that you were nearby, right? So
People
it
are
just
asking
yeah.
like, what if you have like technology that you need for like a drone or whatever for whatever you're doing? You can just mail it to yourself at home,
Mhm.
and then like you don't have anything with you.
Yeah, mail yourself memory cards. That's the best way to move data across a border is mail yourself, one of those little tiny mini SD cards. So yeah. Um, yeah, yeah,
Someone said, are they really going to search all of that? Yeah,
yeah.
like that's totally a thing.
It's not actually difficult for them to search it because they just have a program do it, right? Like they just, they query a bunch of, they usually put listening devices, but they can also query towers. And so they can look at, cell phone activation, or they can, yeah, they just put a thing there that kind of listens for phones and tries to get them to uh, interact with them called a stingray. There's another one that somebody mentioned. I forget the name of it. So anyway, you never know when those are in uh, actually in operation. You can't plan, and so like, how would you set that up? So
Also, like if for like again a bunch more like really specific technical questions, but if you've ever been through like a checkpoint, if you've like driven through Las Cruces, like even in the country, right?
mhm,
Um, they already you're coming up, they're like, it's fine, go, or they're like, no, 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 we're gonna fuck with you.
yeah,
The way that that happens, there's this specific guy in San Francisco who created an app that tells them whether or not to fuck with you based on like they already know everything about you. And so like it's like there's a whole like system of deciding whether or not they should fuck with you that's happening in a couple of tech oligarchs' offices for everyone, everywhere. And they already have a profile on you and they know everything about you. And it's going to be red or green when you're coming up.
Right.
And like they're just going to fuck with you or they're not going to fuck with you. So like it doesn't matter what you do. It matters like what kind of life you have, essentially.
So real-time ad networks are real-time bidding in ad networks. So the thing that happens, you go and you query a web page, and then you get identified by your various fingerprinting devices things. And so they know who you are and what you like. And that's why your Instagram ads are targeted, that's why your Facebook ads are targeted, etc. So anything like that. That data is available for purchase. The reason those real-time ad networks can target you with a funny t-shirt that you saw last week is because of the data that you leave across the internet the whole time you're surfing, right? And so, that information is purchasable by anyone, including the government. And there's people that do it for the bad guys. And they're like, who's the ones we don't like? How do we know who they are? Okay, because they donated to the ACLU or something like that, right? And if they can tie your ACLU donation to your, device ID, then they can tie it to your license plate. And if they can tie it to your license plate, you're gonna get stopped. So that's how, and that's why. So I mean the software they use, my friend has to come home at some point, yeah. Oh, I guess Signal is helpful against Celebrite if they've downloaded the device. It's not on all devices, but let's see.
A bunch of people have asked how we met.
Internet.
Google Folsom Street Fair.
Oh yeah, that is true. We did meet at Folsom Street Fair. That is actually what happened.
Don't Google it at work.
Don't actually Google it at work. No. That's all we'll say. We're weird San Francisco people. So, do you think queer and any minority can should try to seek asylum? Yeah, I would say maybe. I mean, depending on where you're going, but yeah.
Someone's like, can we talk about
But like multi-user dungeon? We can talk
I really want us to do that.
on the Meshtastic network, y'all.
It would be like so cool.
Right. I'm interested.
Were you there for that? The buds thing.
Yeah. Put a log on the fire. Put a log on the fire. Have you ever played that game?
Oh no. But everybody remembers text games, right? Unless you were born in like recent decades. Before there was like graphic games, it was like you're in a cave and you're like, oh, like
what do I do?
walk west. And it's like now you're in
by a groove.
Yeah. But like imagine that on the Meshtastic network through a BBS, right? And the BBS is giving you that, it's giving you chatbots, it's giving you like information about disasters. And you're like, I want to create a new universe. We're going to be like in a cave, and there's like a portal to like Kowloon City, and it's like retro future, and like, the USSR won the space race. And it's like, okay, here you go. I've created this universe. Have fun. And there's like places in there where you can like meet people in a certain place and you can like actually talk to them, right? And you have like this ephemeral chat room that you've created in like apartment 367 on like this particular road in this imaginary city that doesn't exist that you've just invented.
For text.
I think it's like such a cool idea.
Yeah. I think Brett Gardner is working on one of those. So is Chris. Yeah, it's a whole thing.
Hand language is interesting.
Yeah. And hand talk. Yeah, you really want to be able to talk in public secretly, hand talk, They'll if you get recorded, they'll be able to figure it out, but most people don't speak it, so I saw somebody else say something interesting. It was thoughts on the Gemini Reddit team up. Reddit sold your data to ChatGPT originally. They sold all the data. all of Reddit's for sale, so that's just their, yeah.
People are
Oh.
pitching different implementations of
Go.
the BBS. The TC2 BBS is like cool, but it needs like this custom hardware that costs 3 times as much as a Raspberry Pi to run it. So like I think we could do something more interesting than that with like way lower budget and pay for it with the money that we've raised. So that's something we are like figuring out some kind of working group to work on that. Yeah, I also thought it was about my gesturing. When my brother was very young, he was deaf, and so we all learned sign language. But then at some point, suddenly he could hear, and nobody ever figured out why. He's always been kind of different, but like he's actually a professional interpreter, and so we use a lot of ASL like at home. So that's why I'm very gestury.
Somebody says, cool political action would be set up a blockchain to dox ICE agents. They're already doing that. They set up IceCoin, and now you can report undocumented people, and they'll put your name on the blockchain. So
Everybody will always know.
everyone will know forever that that's what you did, which is what we wanted, actually. So, you know.
The pendulum is swinging like really hard right now, and there are so many felonies being committed on a daily basis in the halls of power on TV. I don't care how broad the pardons are, like there's gonna be a reckoning at some point when like real lawyers are back in charge of being lawyers and like the reality TV people are out of control of everything. Like I don't care how broad the pardons are for everyone. Like they're gonna get them, right? Like that's just gonna happen in terms of like prosecutions that are coming.
Yeah,
Pendulum's gonna swing back. It says.
true. Someone needs to create a course on being profiled and how to maneuver. Like, you know, how to maneuver out of an algorithm hole. You can't. You can't. Like, you're gonna give up social media? You gonna? You're not gonna. You're not gonna do that. And so like really it's just like be without your phone sometimes. And actually, if you can't be without your phone during a protest, that's a stressful situation. Practice being without your phone before you're at the protest so that you're not stressed out and without your favorite de-stress device, right? Find a new de-stress without phone pattern. And also, if the only time you're ever without your phone is when you're at an action, like that is its own kind of information. And so you have to be without your phone sometimes. Otherwise, you leaving your phone at home and going and not touching your phone it's too obvious. So
Someone asked what device do we recommend for your like first LoRa device? It's definitely this one, the TDEC Plus. If you want a cheaper version, you can also get it without the case for like way less money, and you can just 3D print your own case.
looks really cool too.
But it's the same device inside. And then another person said something like CJ is the perfect mix of optimism and realism. I think like everyone, it seems like everyone is either pessimist or a toxic optimist these days.
Mhm.
It's like everything's fine, everything will be fine, or it's like there's no point in trying, right?
Yeah.
I think like non-toxic optimism starts with realism, and like the pendulum is swinging right now, and like it's like way out there.
Mhm.
But everybody said that was gonna happen after we had a black president. Like
Right.
we still have active chapters of that 3-letter group, right? Like all over the country, and things that are like that, right? All over the country, and like the pendulum was gonna swing back after that, and they're having this extinction burst, like the big tantrum at the end before, you know, all of that disappears, because like 90% of people under 40 disagree with 100% of everything they're doing. It's just not going to be the future.
I mean, you know, people say things can't go back to normal. There's no such thing as normal. We have been in ahistoric time since.
Always.
Yeah, because like, you know, we've been inventing stuff the whole time. Whole time we've been talking to each other. So like, there is no normal and there's no going back to normal, of course. We can move forward into what we want, right? And that's the optimism that I have. I'm like, let's respond to what's really happening, not what we wish would happen or what should be happening. Let's respond to what's really happening that we're seeing evidence for in the real world. And then, but with something that is gonna build the next good thing and not just like, well, everything sucks, I'm done. Like, I don't know. Like, you probably just need to have a little snack if that's how you feel.
Also,
Get some blood sugar.
things were not good before.
Yeah.
Like, deportations are like 20% right now of what they were a year ago. Like, it was so much worse a year ago, and nobody was talking about it.
Right.
Nobody was talking about the fact that Biden and Obama built the cages and the kids are still in
They
there.
did.
Like, that did not get better. It
No.
only got worse. It's actually the lowest it's been in like a decade right now,
Yeah.
somehow, because they've fired everyone who was so competently executing those policies.
Yeah.
And now there's no one in charge of any of that, right? Like, they're just trying to outsource it. It's not better. Like, there's less horrible being competently executed right now, but they want it to be worse, right? But like, you brought up colonialism. So like,
But
there was this idea in the 90s that like modernity was here, right? Like, the Jean-Luc Picard is the future. That like the great man empowered by innovation and like academic knowledge capable of solving any and all problems. That was always wrong.
Yeah.
And like, it was a lie that was harmful.
Yeah.
And people who predicted what would
Colonialist.
come next were like derided. Like, Jordan Peterson's worst enemy in the world is like the postmodernist, who is essentially the meteorologist who accurately predicted things like Trump.
Right. Right.
It's like, we don't want that. We just see it coming.
Yeah, exactly.
This is what postmodernism is about.
Yeah.
But then the question is like, well, what do we want? What should come next?
And it's, I don't like to define things in the negative, like we shouldn't do this and we shouldn't do that. I mean, obviously we shouldn't do the fascism, but like the fascism is really the negative, right? It's like you shouldn't be brown or a woman, or a gay person, whatever. Fascism is defining things in the negative, right? And so how do we fight that? It's not, well, we'll double negative on you, infinity plus one. That doesn't really go anywhere. It's like, well, what instead? Like you got to kind of have a solution to some problems, rather than just saying, no, you're the problem. Well, no, you. It doesn't really resolve anything. So build the new is, I think, the most robust strategy.
People are asking for recommendations on postmodernism. I would say like Parable of the Sower.
Oh my gosh.
Any Afrofuturism, especially Afrofuturism written by Black women.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Parable of the Sower is so upsetting they real, but it's really good.
A lot of the stuff in it happened.
It happened, yeah.
It was written in the 90s, and a bunch of the stuff that they predicted would happen this year just happened this year.
Yeah, it's like worse than Mike Judge. Like, it's, it's pretty great. You thought Idiocracy was prescient, like, yeah, you gotta read some Olivia Butler's.
She literally predicted Trump, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Like 30 years ago.
Let's see. Yeah, the fracture in the armed forces, travel Faraday wallet, not a thing. Have we ended up on any lists? I know that I'm on lists, so like, I FOIA'd that stuff. But
Capricorn core.
Capricorn core. Yeah.
What does it mean?
I don't know.
Do you know this person? Be a very interesting person.
Yeah, Punky Brewster. I don't know. You're gonna make a Punky Brewster reference, so yeah. Can AI reproduce intuition? That's actually all it does. Is like cosine similarity, with like a many dimensional Latent space. So yeah. Let's see. Galki,
Someone said
Galtaki. I'm sorry. I don't know how to say your name, but practice standing procedures with your group for things happening when you don't have phones. So yeah, when we get to the fun event on the weekend, we find the most visible like from any spot landmark, and that's where you default meet. And then every time you get to a new sort of quadrant of the area, just mentally divided into 4 zones, you get to a new quadrant, you pick a new spot that is the tallest, most visible one. Caveat to this is there may be somebody at that event who means a great deal of people harm in a very short time period. If that happens, you need to have a location that is outside of the main event that you'll all regroup at so that you can scatter and not worry about where you're going and where everyone else is going. And you can focus just on your situational awareness. So you'll focus on that, and then you'll get out of the area, and then everyone meets up at the movie theater 6 blocks down the street or something like that, right?
Just to check this.
Check the Zoom chat. Oh, thanks.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
We have like
Three
things going at the same time.
The Ouija pants. They're the best. Let's see. Yeah, Afrofuturism. Biden had deportations at 700. Yes, it's pretty bad. May 1st is Law Day. Man, remember when we had the rule of law? That was cool, right? Jeez. I'll tell my kids about, or my grandkids about that. You know. Let's see, Afrofuturism, death
It's
throes.
also the someone said where else is streaming. We both streaming and then also Zoom.
Zoom is.
Zoom is in the Discord, and then the Zoom goes on to.
So there's a list in Venezuela called the TESCON list. They hacked the election system and everyone's name who voted for one person, and to chase people who didn't vote for them. So yeah, that is a real thing that happened. You know, I'll call that out as a real thing that happened, and it could again happen. Doge did get access to a lot of data, really upsetting amounts of data. Are you in danger for that reason? We're very much larger than Venezuela. A lot larger than Venezuela. There's 350 million of us. What's the population of Venezuela?
Less than that.
11? Yeah, less. It's less. I don't know. Is it a 3-digit millions or 2-digit millions, right? Yeah, so I mean, that's, you know, it just is easier to sweep across 30 million people than it is to sweep across 350 million people. That said, does that mean it can't happen here? No, absolutely not. But it's a lot harder and it will be a lot more obvious and it will take a lot longer and there'll be a longer tail. And by that point, I feel like the tenor of things will have changed. So, like in terms of, you know.
Everybody is calling me a Capricorn.
Okay. What does that mean? Yeah, so they're also talking about contesting birthright citizenship. You know, like, yeah, they are doing that. I mean, they're deporting Navajo people. So, like, what are you gonna? They've been here for 3,000 years, you know. So, yeah, let's see. Passwords are better than passcodes. Organizing, yeah, that kind of stuff. Cookouts and unions. Yeah.
Did you see today the one of the really big nationwide industrial unions
Did I get
came
a
out
mistake?
and was like demanding they return.
Garcia.
I don't remember which was one of the two.
Yeah. It was
This is an
one.
important worker who has every right to be here working, and you stole like our like union comrade. Unions are the only thing that has the power to change anything. And that doesn't have to be like you check the box on the card and send it to the government. It can be like a group chat for your apartment building. It can be any kind of like people that have stuff in common getting together and deciding to fix their problems, because like the pro forma mortgage on any apartment building has like a 5% variance allowance. So if like all of you agree to pay your rent a week late, your landlord will be bankrupt. Like they'll give you whatever you want. So you can do that with a group chat.
Yeah, it's true. I'm just like trying to think. Let's see. Yeah, Doge allowing remote connections to a Russian IP address.
Was it IWW?
Uh, unfortunately, let's see. Okay. So, uh, let's see. Yeah, yeah.
You have a lot. Do you want me to scroll it for you?
Yeah, please do. There was another one that was like, yeah, so the Doge thing is a major risk thing. Like I would call that like a big red alert problem. Um, that's like there are a lot of data breaches, and also the data they can buy about you will compromise your leanings, your political leanings. That said, it's hard to go through and purge people based off of their political leanings, especially because it can be perturbed and for less money than going and getting people, right? It is literally cheaper to change someone's mind than it is to go and arrest them. And so if you think about, oh, they're gonna arrest a bunch of migrants and all the people who don't think like them, okay, and then there's like 65 million people left in the United States, like at some point they don't have the capacity to go after everyone for like their leanings. But they do go after organizers. They
They're going after
do go after labor organizers,
Sesame Street.
especially. They're going after
This
Sesame
is what
Street.
they're focusing.
Yeah.
Big Bird is the enemy.
The story.
Bro.
That's how serious they are.
Like, yeah, they've made Big Bird into the bad guy. So like,
What happened last time someone did that? We got all the Hillary
Some-
Clinton memes. She saved him in the plane.
yeah. There was also, I don't know.
Romney wanted to kill Sesame Street.
Yeah, he did.
And they made it like a whole meme.
Yeah, yeah. That would be you. You are become meme, sir. If you try to go after Big Bird.
Someone said, "How are you preparing for the economic collapse that's happening?"
Yeah. So,
Watch my TV show. It's about that. Do communism in the forest with your friends.
do communism in the forest with your friends. One of the most, we talk about this in the solar farm stand-up a lot. Like it's literally, okay, community resilience is the thing that will keep you safe. The difference between Kilmar Garcia and everyone else who got disappeared is that he was embedded in communities who care about him and started to yell about this. And so I know his name because of that.
Bunch of people.
Bunch of people did, yeah. And so a lot of it is about that people care about that you exist and who you are and what you're doing in their community. You do not have to this is not, don't become a people pleaser to get people that get your life safe. It's really more make friends. People with friends are harder to fuck with. I mean, that's just kind of how it works.
Also, like key, I think, is transitioning the source of fulfillment for your basic needs and your community's basic needs from things that you're renting every month to things that you're able to produce for yourself. Like figure out a way to have some chickens.
Yes. Yes.
Having chickens is, I've had chickens like most of my life.
Way
It's great.
cheaper.
You can grow a lot of your own food.
Yeah.
The government will pay you to do it. There's all kinds of grant programs if you want to be like a first-time farmer, which can include just subsistence growing food for your own family. The government will pay you to do that.
Yes.
And they'll pay for the land. They'll give you like 80K for like materials and machinery, and
Yeah.
first-time farmer grants are huge. Like there's tons that you can do in order to get free land.
Also, and that sounds like a lot, right? Like I'm sure somebody hears that and they're like, okay, but like I'm not gonna be tomorrow or next week going and doing that. Listen, there's somebody who is in your group that is good at filling out forms, but they are not gonna put their hands in the dirt. And then there's somebody who can talk to plants, can make them grow in no matter what conditions, and they don't know how to deal with the forms. Like, and so there's a lot of that kind of going on, right? What you need to do is some needs analysis, right? What is it that I'm good at? What is it that I need help with? You know, like from every person according to like, you know, whatever they're great at, and then like to everyone based on like whatever they might have some sort of desires or like requirements for, shall we say? I don't know.
Who
Like,
said that?
I have heard it somewhere. I think it was like an Instagram quote or something, you know? I don't know. Could have been. Probably Big Bird, honestly.
Yeah, I think he actually did.
Yeah, he probably did say it. So, literally though, like there's, you know, there's like the big C, state communism, and then there's go to the
Communalism.
woods with your friends, build a commune.
Yeah.
You know, don't start wearing special underwear. And if one person says they're in charge, fuck them, get them out. And that's like, you know. So like that's, you know, like CJ, do you know anyone who's done the first time farmer grant?
There are a bunch of TikToks about doing that, a bunch of channels about doing that. Like it's a it depends. There's a bunch of different ways you can do it. Like if you look at the USDA website, they have like all the paths outlined. Like some of them, like there's one of the loans that you get like a 0% mortgage, but you have to get the other half financed traditionally, which can include FHA. So like if you buy land that is attached to a house that qualifies for FHA, you also get a subsidized loan for that, and then the USDA will pay for half of it, and then they will give you grants because of that. So the grants are typically attached to you're part of some other program. There's also a bunch of local programs that the USDA works with to sponsor like particular kind of thing that you're working on. Like there, like for example, there are like all these like local like special sustainable development programs. Like for example, in Coconino County, which is one of my favorite places to do that kind of stuff. So Coconino County has this like local sustainable development and construction program where like they'll let you do whatever you want. If you want to build like an art strip or something, as long as you agree to live in it for a year, and then you qualify for this other series of grant programs. So a lot of it is kind of built into different stuff, but they have like all the info. If you just look at the USDA.gov website, there's like a whole section for first-time farmers.
There, you know, has Doge shut some of that down? They may have. I know that there's some issues with some of the grants to farmers. Like I've heard that this is an issue. And that they've cut some of the farming subsidies that are not the corn subsidy. I'm like, okay, the one you could have done, yeah, yeah, all right. You know, but
But
yeah,
also, it's really not that expensive. Like if like this is, we're working on our seventh one. The one that we did in Gainesville, it was like a total of $5,000 for the land. You know, like if you go to like West Virginia, land is extremely cheap, and a lot of it is like you can buy 100 acres for, you know, not very much money, depending on where you are, how far you are from the city, how rural it is. And there's a bunch of interesting, like Nate Petrovsky is like a really interesting person who did that and made a big following in the millions on TikTok doing exactly that. And then Will Survives just moved next door to him and is doing the same thing. So there are all these people that are like showing you how to do it on TikTok. Um, West Virginia, okay, there's a reason the John Denver song is about West Virginia. It's actually great.
it's very
There's
pretty.
good and there's bad.
Yeah.
Look into how it was created, why there's a West Virginia. Like the roots are good.
The
you
roots
know?
are good. Cherokee people out there. Pretty cool. All right, we got, you know, F Mary Kill. Uh Jira, Slack, email. And
I like email. I don't like
you,
the other.
you don't like you like email and you don't like Slack and Jira. I think I would for Slack, I'm off at Slack. I've been married to Jira for a long time, and you know, we have made it work. It's a lot of work, but it's a fruitful relationship, and but we all are polyamorous, and, so and then you know, I guess I fuck with email, so
Appalachia is so underrated. I 100% agree.
yeah.
I 100% recommend. Like, if you haven't been
solar
to
plug.
Appalachia, go check it out. Check IC.org, find some intentional communities that want you to come volunteer, spend a couple
Yes.
weeks there, you'll fall in love.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I would say, you know, it's really about get into communities. How do you get into communities? Show up 7 times. Then you're friends with everyone there. That's literally the number. It takes 8 impressions to make a sale, 7 times hanging out to become friends. And at a maximum, that's the maximum bound of friendship. You see somebody 7 times, and then so that, you know, you believe that you're friends. Like, that's just how that works. Also, yes, we stand Wells. Jesse Wells is the best. Jesse Wells.
I was never actually voted in at the Garden. I just kept coming back over and over until everyone knew me, and I was sort of like unofficially included.
Yeah.
Same with Arcasanti. Like, I was never actually an alumni. I never was actually like enrolled there, but I've been there so many times that I know everyone, and now I get free camping and stuff. I've never even worked there.
I didn't go to college, but I kept teaching classes at college, and then I became a professor because of that. So, you know, like, it even works with institution. Works
Yeah.
with Cal State.
Just show up, be helpful.
Yeah. Like, show up, be helpful, but also, you know, being funny is being helpful. Sharing recipes is being helpful. Having just good vibes is being helpful. Like, literally. That's like, it's just, it sounds very, you know, when I say it out loud, I'm like, it sounds like a bunch of cliches. The reason those cliches are cliches is because they're true and they've endured for a long time. And I have found this to be true in my personal life, that like, if you show up and you try to serve the community, not because you want them to protect you, but because you care about that community, that comes back. If you show up and you're like, I did this, now you owe me, then it won't. But if you're like, hey, you guys seem like you could use some help. All right, I did it. And then you just keep doing that. That literally is what protects you. I was very, like, you know, paranoid cybersecurity professor for a super long time. I didn't want to become famous. I would regularly delete my blogs and delete a bunch of stuff, and then I was like, wait a minute. My advertising cookies know who I am. There's no hiding who I am. Also, oh no, now I've taught all these people to code, and like, and so like they know who I am, and most of them are immigrants. Crap. Okay, well then there's no out of this. I better just get loud, and so I just started getting loud. Louder, I guess.
Also, like, there's currently they're targeting like people who were naturalized, right? So like maybe they're gonna come after people like me someday, but they're not currently doing that. And so like it's my job to use that to like
Push it to the end.
bring people together. Let's talk, how can we be okay with what's happening?
Rock it till the wheels fall off. Yeah, a delightful personality is very important. You know, also, yeah, creating and deleting accounts on the regular. But the other thing is, yeah, have a big Rolodex. Have an offline Rolodex of people's phone numbers that are printed out somewhere. I put it in a little, where do you keep your secret documents? Put it there. Why is that important to have? What if all your devices got confiscated? How would you call your friend who is a civil rights attorney? Like, you gotta have that stuff written down in a hard to destroy thing, and all your devices is not actually that robust, right? Because if you stored it in your Google account and that's logged in on all your devices, and one of your devices is compromised, then you lost your Google account. So, love from Chile. Oh my gosh, I got so many Chilean friends now. He's the best.
Someone said, I just realized this one isn't a video chat. There is also a video chat, which I feel like we're neglecting because it's kind of far away.
It is. It's like there's a table and robot arms in front of me, and so now
We couldn't figure out a way to be visible in the same frame because
GJ is 100 feet taller than me, like fully 2 feet taller than me.
so.
Don't tell the internet that I'm short.
A bunch of people are saying that the senator from Maryland was finally able to meet with Kilmar and he's alive.
Yeah, I saw that. A couple of people said that. I'm
I have
so
not fact checked that, but a lot of people have
relieved
said.
if that's true. I'm holding on, but enough people have said it that fingers crossed. Yeah, it'll be recorded for YouTube and we'll put it up on the High Desert Institute. If y'all want to figure out how to go do things in the mountain or communes in the woods and stuff like that, literally this is like most of what CJ talks about most of the time. Like we both talk about similar things, but like CJ's been doing real land grants and stuff like that. Also the burner community has a lot of groups that are like that. Is every group in the burner community the best? No. But a lot of them are doing stuff like that. They're trying pretty hard. There are a lot of groups probably near you. If you haven't looked up intentional communities, if you look up the words intentional communities state,
There's actually
there's some in your state.
There's a search engine and a map. If you go to ic.org, it's the Foundation for Intentional Communities, and it'll tell you about all the ones that are nearby you, what they're doing, if they want you to show up or like email them first, you can come volunteer. A lot of them do woofing, which is worldwide opportunities in organic farming, where they will put you up and feed you and give you a place to stay for like you agree on an amount of time, and then they teach you everything and then you can leave. And so also that's all over the world. So anywhere you want to live in the world and like learn how to do organic farming, it's on there and it's free and they'll feed you and house you for like 6 months, a year, whatever you agree to. And the work requirement is quite low. It's like maximum 20 hours a week requirement and you negotiate it beforehand. So like free food and housing and learn to farm and live wherever you want in the world. It's like kind of a pretty sweet deal. I've heard that some of the like definitely check the reviews and stuff. I've heard that like some of the people are not great on there. So, but like that's an option.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not all burner groups are the same. I am like the biggest hater of Burning Man people that are awful. And I'm one of the regional chairs for Burners Without Borders for 5 years for the entire Bay Area. So
Seen it all.
like there are people who are a part of it who want it to be better. We did a big protest actually, the big BLM protest that happened at Burning Man. The board hid from us.
What?
And then they used the pictures of the protest as evidence of what a good job they're doing. So like I was, I'm like the most outspoken critic of these people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, if
You love
anybody
something,
wants
critique
to
it to death for sure.
learn some interesting facts about the world, look at the burningman.org website, the page that lists the board members, and compare it to the list of board members that are on the tax returns, which is almost twice as long and includes some people that you might find surprising.
That's an interesting piece of information to go and search up that I have not personally done.
If anyone wants to look into that,
Just an interesting piece of information.
she's mad.
Punky Bee says I have tall person energy, which is true. I do. No, it's my fighter spirit that is definitely short person energy, but it's because we're badasses. So let's see. Will the High Desert Institute project in Arizona need help anytime in the near future? It definitely could.
There are several. The current one that we're fundraising for is at the Grand Canyon. We also have one in the future. If you go to the page, there's like a list, and then you can see more. And there's like 15 projects that are kind of in the pipeline. There's also going to be one in Tucson, which is currently in like we're not ready to start fundraising for that phase. But Grand Canyon is first.
Oh yeah, I got friends up here. Yeah, we're talking about swooping. Are we doing Meshtastic? Yes, Meshtastic is always happening. It is a device that you carry with you at all times. It's pretty dope. You should get one. The T-Deck is probably the best one. Yeah, there's some You know, like I said, the burn, it's a lot of different groups of people.
Yes, that is the most surprising one who's on the board that's not on the list of people who's on the board on the website is indeed Elon's brother.
Yeah,
What?
Yeah.
they're all burners.
Yeah, they're all burned.
That's where I met him.
mean, have y'all ever read A Brave New World?
I met Elon at Burning Man.
Yeah.
He didn't know who I was.
I met, okay,
So I'm probably not on the list.
the craziest Burning Man moment I ever had was when I was in a tent and there were 4 people in this tent and it was a talk given by Grover Norquist, attended by Cory Doctorow.
Yeah.
So it was me, Cory Doctorow, Grover Norquist, my partner at the time, and I guess maybe some rando getting tea in the corner, having an argument about the government, you know, of course. And it was a very weird moment in my life. It was probably the weirdest possible.
It's weird that he's back in the news now. Grover Norquist. Mr. Anti-Taxes was Mr. Tariffs. It's like, this is the person who made it like the single mission of the right wing to like never taxes. And he's like Mr. Tariffs.
Sneaking your wife into Burning Man in a cardboard box placed in a Honda Odyssey is the best way to get anyone into Burning Man. And I support this. And so I'm sure it does everyone who's ever gone to Burning Man. It's pretty great. Keywords, I don't know what keywords is.
It's like the thing that lets you put all of Wikipedia into a single file
Oh,
that can
yeah.
run itself as like a server.
Oh yeah, then yes, the Internet in a Box project kind of is on top of that or uses that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah. Any thoughts on combining? That's what we're doing.
Yeah. Internet-in-a-box.org. Or no, is
Yeah.
it all one word? No, it's the dashes. Anyway, if you search Internet in a Box.
So like we're putting the two things together. This is what we're doing. And we're paying to put it at community gardens.
Yes. We would love to put it at community gardens. You got
Also, Wikipedia wants us to come to their conference in Kenya. And I'm like, that's like a really long flight. That's like the most long flight possible.
right. That's like there isn't actually a further away place.
I would die.
I also I thought it was no, yeah, it's in you said Nairobi.
Nairobi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe. We told them maybe.
We told them. Yeah. Yeah, it's a long setup. I would probably do it as part of a thing.
The entire if you want the entire Wikipedia is pretty big, yeah, but like it may or may not be like feasible to include all the language versions of it, right? Like depending on where you are and what you need in order to be accessible, like you may not need to include like the entire thing, and you definitely don't need to include like the media section, you know, like if you're putting it at an intentional community where like it's a fairly static group of people and there's like 2 or 3 languages, include those, but you don't necessarily need to include like every single translation of it. That will really get the resource requirements down. Plus, if you don't include all the media.
People asked about the nodes and when they're getting here, and you got the notification.
They arrived today.
Like today. Yeah. So we just got them.
There are 100 boxes in my front yard.
Yay. So
and we raised a bunch more money, so we can get more.
Yeah, we're gonna get more. So it should be good. The recording we'll post it up on the High Desert Institute
YouTube,
yeah. And what was the other one that somebody said? Oh, they said, aha, Kilmar, alive. Oh my gosh, alive. Alive, look, photos. Of course, now an ad for Amazon, but prior to that, alive. Oh my god. I am genuinely really happy about that.
A couple of related questions. Someone said, is North Phoenix, Arizona already covered? I happen to know, I have talked to people, it is, but like a lot, like it's everywhere. It's all over the world at this point. Someone else pointed out there is a map. Meshtastic has like an official map. if your device is reporting, it's kind of complicated. Like not everything is on the official map. You have to sort of opt in, and it's like actually complicated to opt in. So there are all kinds of like amateur radio clubs that have set up their own maps, and those will typically be like more accurate for like local groups because they're including the ones that haven't opted in. So you can look at like I haven't personally researched for that area, but I'm sure there are amateur radio clubs that are doing this, and they will have more data about like where it is, and likely they will already have them on. Like it's pretty flat there, but there are a couple of spots, you know, that you could theoretically reach, especially if you can get an antenna up above your roof line. So it's definitely going on. The best way to find out who's doing it near you is to just get one, and then you can talk to them.
Yeah.
It's like it seems obvious once you say it, but like if you just get one and say hi, now you know everyone around you who's using it, and it shows them on a map if
Yeah.
they've turned on their GPS.
Yeah. And you can turn the GPS on less precise. So you can have like a 2-mile radius that you're in or something like that. Do you think Starlink is to have an unauditable data transmission? Like if Musk controls the nodes, you know, the satellites, like then he can ask them to be remotely access log wiped or something like that. Basically. He can mess with the forensics. Maybe. I don't know very much about the satellites, frankly. Like
I think it's bad.
The forensic level. I don't know.
Oh, they're talking about okay, so there's this conspiracy theory that Starlink was used to hack the election.
Oh yeah.
There are 10,000 jurisdictions with different processes, which are all administered locally.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no way that that could possibly have happened, and
Yeah.
Starlink is not involved in election data being reported. They have a representative that goes to deliver the results by hand, which is what the insurrection was trying to disrupt. That's not a thing. But also don't use Starlink. You deserve fiber. We already paid for everyone to have fiber.
Yeah.
Where's the fiber?
Where's the fiber?
You deserve fiber. It's like literally 16,000 times faster.
And also,
and it's already been paid for.
Don't give money to that person. And also, it's gonna cause the Cassini event. You know, like Kessler. That's all. Kessler event.
Yeah, I'm kind of shocked that hasn't already happened.
Thoroughly shocked.
The Kessler syndrome is coming.
The white space for data transfer.
Someone said Palantir is way scarier than anything Elon is doing. Palantir is everything Elon is doing. Where do you think the data is going? The CEO said it in a quarterly earnings report.
Yeah. Election truth lines. I don't know. I have no idea. I haven't seen that. Something. Yeah. Hey, Miles, what's up? Looking up election polls. Yeah. My mom works a lot of the elections. She's worked the last quite a few. I can't even keep track at this point how many she has. And they are mostly staffed by older folks who literally hand count papers, y'all. Like it's the number of people and systems you'd have to compromise is truly staggering. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's just I don't know. But
if someone cuts the internet, does Meshtastic still work? Yes.
Yes.
It's just peer-to-peer and across one another.
Radio. It's light. Radio is light. So
that's a big part of why it's so exciting, because it allows us to communicate during disasters.
Yeah, even if we're told not to. Just in case we would ever have that, right? Yeah, exactly. It's cool in principle. You can get 5G speeds on UHF and VHF. I don't think those are allowed that you can broadcast on them. I think they got rid of UHF.
You cannot get 5G speeds on UHF. Those are, I'm not sure what you're asking, but also it's illegal. You can't use it like that.
Yeah, certain radio bands you can't. If you think about it, like the radio, like light, it's like there's only so much space that you would call the color blue, and then there's no more, and there's only one of them. So you can't use up the color blue. Like you can't use up certain bands of the radio. And also because it's a light, anybody who's monitoring that could just triangulate your position exactly. So
And also 5G is 150 times faster than UHF or VHF. So it's like a lot more can fit through that.
yeah.
So actually LoRa is the frequencies that used to be used for 3G. So that's why we have it, because 3G is over.
Yeah.
So it's very slow for that reason.
Yeah.
But it's perfect for texting.
Yeah.
Remember T9, you all? I want like a T9 LoRa device.
I know.
That'd be cool.
A link to sign up support, highdesertinstitute.org. I got a thing on the multiverse school, which is mostly just classes, but there's a link on there as well. So yeah, those places.
There is a GoFundMe to donate restricted funds to pay for us to sponsor people to have nodes for free. And we're not taking anything from that. And then there's also, if you want to sign up to get a node for free, there's a form to do that. Those are both in the top of the page.
Yeah.
At desertinstitute.org.
I saw a bunch of people talk about burner phones earlier, and I kept forgetting because there's so many words. Burner phones. They're not a thing. Not anymore. You cannot get a burner phone. That's not a thing. If you buy an old phone, you still have to get service, and in order to have service, you have to have a name, and like also other information. Prepaid minutes, you still have to have an account, and that account has to be tied to your ID. There's not a way to get anonymous phone usage anymore. And so even an old phone, no, it doesn't work like that. Somebody who tells you that something is a burner phone, but then you still have to sign up on the internet to something, that is not a burner phone now. So those are over. You cannot, that's not a real thing. So I just wanted to a lot of people will get into the comments of a lot of videos. I'm like, burner phones are not real, not anymore. They used to be a thing, not anymore. People are like, oh, well, I could just. No, you're imagining a television show that you saw where you could just. That's not a thing anymore. Go do it if you can. Make a video. Yeah, that's what I would say to those people that are like, I'm pretty sure it is. Cool. Make a video. Show me it happening. So
that's this one. It's the TDEC. This is actually the TDEC Plus. The difference between the TDEC and the TDEC Plus is that it comes with the case. You don't have to make it yourself. If you're getting your first device, this is a great one to get. It has everything built in. You can text people on it. You can see where people are on the map. It's great. Highly recommend it.
Yeah. Allie, you're saying like, what if you don't interfere with the owned channels? All channels technically are owned. It's like airspace. There's no unowned airspace, like it's all owned.
It's unlicensed.
Right.
But it is the property of the government.
Yeah.
Someone also asked, like, what's the advantage of getting an amateur radio license? It's actually not an advantage generally, in terms of like your ability to communicate securely, because it's illegal to use amateur radio bands for anything encrypted, or like even to use like code words or to sing a song. These are federal crimes. Okay.
Yeah.
Unless it's with the intention to wake someone up, or to wish them, I think, a happy birthday if they're on the space station.
If they're on the space station.
That's the only exception. Like singing on an amateur radio is a federal crime. So like if you're not using a radio license, like I have one, but I'm not using it for my Meshtastic stuff, then it's fine for it to be encrypted. So
on encryption, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but generally you just want to switch your encryption key pretty regularly. And for operational security, you're most of the time, you want to have a checklist, but you want to have a channel that lives just for the action that you're doing. And then there's some people that say, you're new in tech and all the things you need to know are overwhelming. For sure, they definitely are. This is the other thing about checklists. You want to have a checklist, not try to remember and know all the things. That's not nobody in computers knows all the things about computers. No coders know all of the classes and methods that exist in the world, or all the libraries, or all the programming languages, or all the protocols. You can't. So ChatGPT knows them all, and so that's why we're all losing our jobs. But it's fine. So So, you you need checklists. That's really the only way to do stuff is go over each thing and check off every list or every list item.
Someone said any specific place to get the TDEC, wherever it's cheapest. Good. That one's good. This is the
I think that one is someone somewhere. Yes, someone sent it to CEOs. You just everyone sees it. Someone gets a university.
I don't know how this
Would have
works.
been cool. Yeah, I'm glad you like it.
With the tariffs, it's wherever it's cheapest, get it there. Someone also said, no way, I didn't realize you were giving away those ones. We're not giving away these ones. These ones are expensive. We're giving away the cheap.
Yeah. Yeah, and somebody's like, I'm just bought a Lily T and have, or if you're in a metropolis, should you host a node? Yeah, definitely host a node. It's especially worth it if you host a node because then you could provide communications like hops to everybody around you. So it's especially helpful for you in a metropolis to host a node. And what do you do with the T deck? It's like a cell phone. It's kind of like having a cell phone in the early days of cell phones when no one had cell phones, right? Like one, you look way cooler than everybody. No, you look like a giant nerd, but that's how you signal to other giant nerds that you're a giant nerd. And then eventually more and more people get them. And so that's what we're hoping to do is just make them cool so that enough people have them that, it's actually useful, right? So, yeah.
So like in Metropolis, like we are in a mega region. We actually live at opposite ends of this mega region, 100 miles apart, and we're able to see each other on the network because there are that many people in between using that, which is like just wild. Also, there's a mountain range in between, in the middle of this mega region.
Yeah.
And there are amateur radio clubs that have set up repeaters on the mountaintops, and so we're able to like reach across 100 miles. It's wild.
Yeah, the sense cap's pretty big. Oh yeah, Rootkit. Hey, what's up, Rootkit? Yeah, it's a great first size. Rootkit. Yes. You can get a T deck, any Lily Go T deck, and type it into any search bar you will find. Probably not at the you get the plus. But probably not at like Walmart or anything. Can you still use a fresh phone for an international trip? Yes. That's what you want. Wipe your phone, save your backup, wipe your phone, then go through, then re-download your contacts.
But also like they're different. Like it's not necessarily the same radios that you need for every country. So like it's oftentimes better to just get one there if you really need one.
Torches says, have you communicated on Boxer? I actually used to work at Boxer. Oh my gosh, Boxer throwback. Back to what year was that? 2011, 2012? Anyway, they're not secure. They work straight up with the government. There's like some people that sit in a room and listen to all the Boxer things. They're jackwriting. It's not end-to-end encrypted. So.
Someone brings up a good point, perhaps unintentionally. They said you can just say hello. You pick up the TDEC, hello. Yeah. What's the ID situation? It is trivial to lie about who you are.
Yeah.
This is not like identifying people is not secure at all in group chats. So if you have a group chat, part of the message that you send is who you are, your name, right? Your like ID. That is not verified or validated.
Yeah.
If you're sending a peer-to-peer message, like a direct message, it is. But in a group chat, there's no like anyone can say they are anyone. On the telephone line, I'm anyone, I'm anything I want to be. I can be what is it? Caped Crusader, Space Invader, and you wouldn't know the difference, would you?
I'm trying to remember. That was like
Savage Garden. Yeah, PIA, good example. Do not use PIA. Look at who bought PIA.
Yeah.
That's scary. Why are foreign intelligence agencies buying VPN services?
If you're looking to get started with Meshtastic and your sister lives 2 miles away and you both get one and you both get a antenna, you can probably talk to each other. Probably in a suburban area, probably.
Also, because people keep bringing up amateur radio, way better than amateur radio, especially for a situation like that, is a CB, which you don't
Yes.
need any license for. They operate at much higher power level,
Mhm.
and it's it's AM, it's brute forcing the signal.
Yeah,
They're gonna hear you, right?
they are.
And it's that you can find a box of them for a few dollars in every thrift store in the country. Just plug it in, it's gonna work. CBs are great.
10 speed S. So if I buy a T-Deck and then a node, I can text anyone else using Meshtastic who is in range. A T-Deck is a node, but it's portable, so it's usually something that you have in your pocket. So it's not like a good base station.
It doesn't have a very good antenna.
Yeah,
If you put a node on the roof, it's gonna jump across that and reach everybody much better.
right. And that's
But-
probably so. Yeah, but you can reach it some non-trivial range with just the T-Deck with no antennas.
They're still trying to guess how by Savage Garden.
This is
You can't encrypt CB. No, it's illegal.
does anyone know? I wonder if I've been clocked or let's see. Wesley Snipes is in the chat. It has a different name, but this Wesley Snipes right there. Does it?
Someone said, how do I run it on solar? We have a build list for that.
Yeah.
If you go to the website, the highdesertinstitute.org, and click on the Cyberpony Express, click on build list, we have one that recommend a specific one, and it's one that we tested and it works great. So it's really easy. They have like a USB, like a lot of these nodes have like a battery and a charger built into them, and it's just USB. So you get like a USB solar panel, and it's super easy.
Which VPN is okay to use? None of them will really do very much. It does some stuff, but it protects some layers of the OSI model, but not all of them. So, you don't want to rely too much on a VPN.
I use Proton. Proton's great.
Proton's great. I mean, they respond to a lot of stuff, and also there's some thoughts that they might have been. Some of their owners might have kind of gone too far right, basically, and then
Yeah.
all
the neo-Nazi groups that we dismantled when I was at Sierra were using Proton for everything.
Yeah.
And the police were like, we can't. It's in Switzerland.
Yeah, but is that because they were right wing or because they lived? I mean, if it's in Switzerland, it's hard. It's hard to get into places like that. So yeah, I would say.
If your concern is like, I'm on this sketchy public Wi-Fi,
Yeah,
anything is fine.
anything is fine.
If your concern is like, I don't want the government to see what I'm doing, it doesn't matter what you do, they can see what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. That activates only when someone hacks you. Oh yeah, like the thing that I posted a thing about on yeah, those are cool. I mean, the intentional compromise of a computer system that someone else owns and has not given you permission to compromise is against the law, and I would never direct you to break the law. So that's what is my opinion for sure. Anyway, thanks.
Someone said, what does the Raspberry Pi contribute to the node? So the Raspberry Pi is not doing Meshtastic, it's doing the other services that you want your node to have. So like a complete local copy of Wikipedia, an AI chatbot that can look through Wikipedia to answer questions people are texting in during a disaster about like, how do I know if the water is safe to drink or whatever. Here's the Wikipedia article about that, right? Also, if you're including something like a BBS, You can have bulletin board services that it's hosting for the network through the node on the Raspberry Pi, because you can't run software on the node except for Meshtastic. And then also the MUDs, we've talked about doing MUDs. So like having like a text-based game that's like create your own universe / chat room. So lots of cool stuff that we can do with the Raspberry Pi.
Mhm.
This will be on YouTube, yes.
Yeah, it'll definitely be YouTube. Right. Catching up with the Zoom chat. Trey always has some cool thoughts.
I'm shocked that I'm remembering it.
It's yep.
Takes a little further.
Let's see, you can use from coast to coast. A Meshtastic with a backhaul is something that you could use from coast to coast. That's with an MQTT server. It's a little bit of complicated setup. We should probably do a little video on it.
How do you know how old I am? This person, every single thing this person says is like,
How did I know?
what? Like everything this person says, they sound like the most interesting person you've ever met.
Oh yeah. There's some yeah. Are you talking about Punky Bee?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. I knew it. Yep. Punky Bee's cool. Let's see. Yeah, bunch of different. Yay, Meshtastic hyperfixation. Hooray! Thank you for hyperfixing it. Hyperfixating on it with us. We're hyperfixating on it as well. Yeah, let's see. Having one and using one also, well, if you have it on all the time, you're hosting a node. But if you don't have it on all the time, you're not hosting a node, you just have a radio that you sometimes turn on. So that's the main difference of am I hosting, am I not hosting?
And it's not gonna work as well. Because they don't always announce. So like it has to be listening to hear which ones are even around. So like if you just turn it on, it's like, oh, it's waiting to fill me there around. And then someone's like, hi, I'm here. And it's like, oh, okay, I know about one. But then you leave it on for 24 hours and it's like, I know about 300. And now I'm able to communicate with all of them. Right?
Looks like LilyGo might be down. Look at that. LILY go, LilyGo.
What's the advantage over shortwave? So like you don't need a license for this. It's anyone can use it. It's open
Yeah,
source
LilyGo's down.
hardware and software.
Straight up down.
They're using GitHub pages.
Apparently. Yeah. Yeah, the I don't know. It's really weird. Doesn't bode well.
I mean, it's a DIY.
Yeah, it could just be down because of some stuff. Sometimes it'll be down, yeah. Signal jamming, they're trying to broadly ban in Indiana.
Too bad.
Oh, it just can if you if you build a signal jammer, they're trying to ban them. They're mostly banned. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there's ethical hacking that is legal, and then there's moral, and that is different. Those are different. They're different features that are activated.
Someone said another difference between shortwave and LoRa is that shortwave bounces over the horizon, but LoRa is only line of sight. Actually, bouncing off the ionosphere is a function of the solar weather, and anything can do it if you have the right antenna. So the current record, there are all these like DX clubs, which is an amateur radio club focused on distance competitions. So the record for the longest LoRa transmission is like 300 miles currently. So the horizon is 7. So like it's bouncing a few times, and it was like across part of the Atlantic Ocean. So it's totally possible to do that with any kind of radio. It's just harder with something that's very low power and lower frequency, but you can do it.
Yeah, if you get a LilyGo with a CB radio, they don't work together. The CB is a different frequency at range, and so they're separate things as well. Just like legal hacking and ethical hacking.
We should have like ham studies.
We definitely should.
saying that.
I feel like, yeah, there's like a lot of people.
I probably need to renew mine soon. So
I don't have, and I definitely wrong about radio things. So it seems like something that I would like to learn from.
someone said, can each node act as a repeater? Every node acts as a repeater.
What is 2073? I don't know what that is. So I probably don't have an opinion on it. Or are you talking about Cyberpunk 20? No, that's
77.
2077. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, we have that effect on people. You've got to have at least a dozen tabs open every time you come hang out with me. Let's see. Yeah. I don't I still can't get to the LilyGo page after the search, so it must be something up.
Where is Mickey? Bro, how do you know all about my life? He's at home. He doesn't like to travel. The dog.
Tiny documents. I love yeah, CJ's got a TikTok page. It's fairly well.
You'll see it. Just
CJ.
scroll through.
Yeah, Glamham? No, Glamham. What a great name. That is awesome.
Ruki points out not every node is a repeater. You can set it to not be a repeater, but that's by default every node is a repeater.
Yeah.
Any SMA antenna that we recommend, it's in the build list. So the one that we used for the first community garden build is in the build list.
I have a question about quantum computers for you.
Mhm.
So, have you ever seen a quantum computer actually perform a computation that is not possible on a conventional computer?
I mean, it's not that it's something that's not possible, it's that it does it in a different way that's faster. So there, I mean, so like I think it's very, very good to criticize the Maharana thing because there's like no evidence that that's real. Like the peer review process, they were like literally in your paper you said that you couldn't prove that what you did actually happened.
That was the state, yeah, that you were in. Okay, but any quantum computer.
I mean, yeah, like there are all these like proof of concepts and like demos that have been peer reviewed and observed by people who.
So
I mean, I'm not personally at the IBM labs.
okay, so IBM had this lab at Galvanize back in 2016.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And yes, funded by Booz Allen.
Was there one there?
No. But they were very eager to teach all of our students about the quantum computers. And they were like, we want you to set up quantum algorithms and stuff. And they had APIs, but the APIs simulated a quantum computer. And now, and so for a long time that was like, I was like, yeah, they got quantum computers are just up now. They've got APIs.
Yeah.
But
Are
then
they real?
are they real? Do we know that for sure? And I realized, like, game theoretically, if there really was a computer that could break any
You
amount,
definitely would not show it to everyone.
they would not show it to everyone.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
could not buy
100%,
it. The
100%.
United States government would buy all that capacity.
100%.
They'd be like, you can buy it if you're a university and you have a very good research reason to have it, and then we want the research.
Yeah.
So, is there quantum?
There is no compelling reason to think that there isn't, and it's certainly possible. Unless like our whole, I mean, there are aspects of our understanding, like lambda CDM is definitely wrong. But the ways in which it's wrong does not imply that something like that would not be possible. Like we have experimental evidence for everything that we're
It's true.
about with quantum computing.
We do have experimental evidence for the individual components, but I've talked to a lot of people who are like quantum physicists who are like, I don't know. It feels like the physics company, or sorry, the physics industry's crypto, right? Like it's like the thing that has a lot of money behind it,
It
and a
could
lot
be.
of theory, and
Yeah.
and there's a lot of sort of
But it's
like,
definitely coming.
as long as we can fix all of these 900,000 things, then in theory we'll have quantum computers in our phone in 2027.
Well, that I would
And
say
it's
probably
like,
not.
you know, and it's always been coming, but I literally have never. And like there are platforms and you can ostensibly, but then I've gone in and tried
But
to.
so like think about fusion, right? Like kind of the same thing. Like we know it's possible. We see it happening out there.
Right.
All of the effects are known.
So-
There is some way to do it. Maybe we don't know how to do it yet.
Yeah,
Maybe someone knows how to do it somewhere.
maybe someone does know how to do it somewhere, but
There was this, I took this mass media class when I was in like my first year of undergrad. And I will never forget this like lesson that we had. I think it was like the first day of class, was mass media theory. And he showed two pictures on the projector, and it's a picture of Obama, and then the guy that played the president on 24, who looks kind of like Obama. I don't remember his name. It's a long time ago.
yeah.
But the question was who is this? And it's like, oh, that's the president. And it's like, okay, who is this? And it's like, well, that's the president on a TV show. It's like, well, have you ever met either of them? Have you ever like personally seen evidence for that with your own eyes? How do you know which one is which? Like people could be lying to you.
True.
And this is like very like this is definitely part of that postmodernity thing that we were talking about.
That's true.
Of like,
Yeah.
what if quantum computers are a hoax?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, they could be. But like every aspect of them is consensus. Like there's not like some big anti
Mm,
from like
I mean,
well, like
I
what
don't
would
know.
you be suspect of?
Really, it's just that there are prototypes that are reusable, right? That don't
Sure.
require any setup in between.
But I'm saying all the
Right.
properties, all the effects,
Like,
everything that they're allegedly built on is
Yeah.
not controversial.
yeah, a lot of
It's
the
putting it together.
individual things, right? But what I think that we don't have is as mature a full stack of quantum computers
able to
as
actually
we
use it.
say that we have,
Yeah, that totally could be true.
you know.
And I think for me it doesn't matter. I don't like it's irrelevant
Right.
whether we're
Like, I
there.
mean, you were talking about like encryption algorithms with laptops is definitely like, you know, kind of
Not
not
correctly.
as you know, not as secure as we like to think it is. Like,
But when it's like a state actor, especially an imperial actor, an oligarch who has like 10 to the 23rd, flop capacity at their
right,
command,
very trivial. Right.
plus access to a working quantum computer, they can do fucking anything,
Right.
right? Is that something that currently exists?
Yeah.
But is it something that could feasibly exist in the near future? 100%.
It just like there's no demos online of somebody logging into the IBM API for quantum computers. Oh, yeah, yeah,
You're not correct.
No,
That
no,
is
no,
API.
no, I get it that there's an API. I fully
is it
understand the
real?
existence of the API.
Is it
There's
real?
been an
Because
API
there's
since
fake
then.
APIs.
And yeah, there's actually like, you know, it's pay as you go access. So how about this? There's an algorithm that, you know, 127 qubits. That seems like it could probably break a trivial quantum, or a trivial encryption algorithm, right? Why don't we just have somebody do one that just requires, that's above Avogadro's number, right? The one that's like that you would have to have a quantum system to represent.
But if you okay, going with the conspiracy theory, if you had a financial incentive to tell that lie, you have enough compute to pretend.
Yes, exactly. You have enough compute to pretend. This is what I think.
Yeah.
And it's like, and we all know that tech companies never lie about things.
Sure.
Right. And they always
There are no Volkswagens
tell the truth.
except
Right.
for Facebook.
Right. So you know, but like it's a race, right? It was like the race to quantum supremacy, right? And it was considered kind of an arms race, right? Yeah,
Yeah, I said that. But like
See?
again, are you sure?
So, yeah, are you sure?
Are the people who
And
like
they're
refute
running
it
things. Have you seen
incentivized to agree?
this?
Yeah.
You know, like there's thousands of researchers could be logging in to develop algorithms that are quantum, like that are algorithms that will work on a quantum computer, that you would have to have a simulated quantum system to actually develop and test, that then have tested and built many dozens or hundreds of algorithms that could, as soon as these actually do roll out, run, right? And there's probably people who are doing that because I was there when in 2016 when IBM built a quantum like lab at across the way from my like classroom, right? And so, you know, I'm like, they've been around. It's just that how do we for sure 100% know? Because I don't think, I mean, I've never seen a quantum computation actually get performed from one of those APIs that is not addressable or approachable by a classical computer, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, like,
Well, and especially at that like the scale
yeah,
that the person making the claim would have access to.
right, exactly. And so, you know, like,
So someone is saying, didn't you say Bitcoin was over because of quantum computing a few months ago?
No.
Yes,
yeah, if quantum,
certainly
it
will.
would be, yeah,
It certainly will
for
be
sure.
based on the claims that have been published and peer reviewed. It is.
Yeah.
The question is, well, has that already happened?
Then why isn't anyone using these 127-bit computers to mine Bitcoin
Or to forge transactions?
or to forge
But
transactions?
also the thing is, if you so like the thread that we started with is if you have that capacity, think of how much money you could make by not telling anyone,
About that
by
capacity.
stealing little bits here and there, especially from like long inactive and like, don't take it from,
But like you could,
Satoshi's wallet, but
yeah,
like some other one that's been dead for a long time. It's a huge portion of cryptocurrency wallets have had no transactions in over a decade.
right.
So like a huge chunk of it is locked up in those accounts. If something disappears from one, that's not going to arouse suspicion. How many wallets are there? Like you couldn't even look at all of them to see.
No, noise and decoherence are both simulatable. Like we use noise all of you know, there's a lot of noise algorithms, and also decoherence. Again,
It is a good argument.
it's a
I mean, you're not gonna debunk this argument in the comments here.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you know, just the existence of these APIs does not an underlying thing make, right? Like just because, yep, those are researchers log in. Oh, well, they're researchers logging in. All I'm saying is, why don't you log in, download one of the well-known algorithms that cannot be performed on a classical computer
At oligarch scale.
at oligarch scale, right? And then just film it, giving you the correct answer that you can then verify is the correct answer, which is like the encryption algorithms.
For me, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, the argument I'm making in these videos I've been posting recently that people are very upset about is like that's definitely coming. Like whether or not
Yeah.
we're there, allegedly we're there, and when we are there, which will be soon, like it's over.
I see you posting things from the press release for the thing, and that's great that there is a press release. The fact that a press release again is not scientific evidence, you know, it just isn't, right? Like if I'm saying maybe they're lying about it, having a lot of text on their page uh isn't compelling to me. I am not, you know, because I've looked at it and tried to use it, and I'm like, you know, yeah, it's actually people in India or
Someone points out that
a
like
pretend interface, you know, like so
AI could simulate a lot of the noise in particular, but
noise,
also
yeah.
like almost everything that you do with quantum computers, you could do with Monte Carlo.
Yeah.
It's just a question of the fact that like if you actually have a quantum computer, it's going to take you like 99.99999% less effort to get there. So if you are pretending to have a quantum computer and you have oligarch scale compute at your disposal, like you have, 100,000 H100s in Memphis doing nothing, like what are you doing with those, right?
Yeah,
You could pretend.
you really could. It wouldn't be that hard. And like,
Is absolutely not real. No.
yeah,
Topoconductor from Maharana is not real. Like the peer review that happened was this is bullshit. Like,
yeah.
all
If
the
you
peer
read what
review-
the reviews say, like it was reviews, and reviews were bad.
Yeah.
Critics give it 10 thumbs down, So
And even when if you watch Satya announcing it, and I did a video about this at the time, the interviewer is like, so is this it? And he's like, well, this is what it might look like.
right.
We've proved that it's possible for us to try to build it. We've developed all they actually announced was that they allegedly had a fabrication process that would allow them to do that, based on experimental evidence that they concluded was not conclusive that they actually had a process that would work.
Right.
And all the peer review was this is bullshit. That was the announcement.
Yeah. And like Microsoft lie about a thing? What do you and Tony? What do you mean? Yeah.
That's what it brings up.
Like,
Wouldn't a press release existing mean that they know people are worried about it? LOL. If you look at IBM's business, how are they still in business? Right?
long contracts and deal.
They really need to have something like this.
Yeah.
Like that's also, yeah, I think you're kind of on something there. Like they have a huge incentive to lie about that.
Yeah.
But again, from my perspective, it doesn't matter whether it's real right now. It's coming.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
IBM is a whole big company.
Yeah, it's basically
That's something.
large companies mostly are.
And IBM, famously thrives during
fascism.
yeah. IBM,
They
the
made
system that powered
databases.
Hitler.
Yeah. Their data normalization projects are far more sinister.
Someone said, is quantum actually more power efficient? That is exactly the point here.
0%.
Well, if it works.
Well,
If you're doing so, like if for example you have some set of qubits arranged to run an algorithm,
I guess that's true. Yeah.
and your goal is to get to try all possible combinations at once and get the outcome.
Mhm.
The difference is reduction algorithms mean you're able to do 99.99999% less work to get the answer. So if you have a lot of compute, you can pretend to be doing that.
Yeah.
And spend a lot more than it would take to do it with quantum, which we know that has happened in the past. They've had, pretend quantum computers that you could use as an API.
Right. To teach people how to use quantum computers in advance of quantum computers coming out. Right.
So if you were running something on the API, it would seem the same, but it is using like a trillion times more power if it's not real.
Yeah. So these are I don't know. I question it, but like I wanted to get your take.
Someone said, what are your parents like?
My dad, they're hackers, both of them. They literally are. They're
Really?
both engineers.
That's
Like,
cool.
and they both got into the thing sort of side. My mom went to a boot camp, which is why I started a whole bunch of. Yeah, back in the day when Ross Perot was boot camps.
What?
And my dad was just like a hacker, so he learned to code through just figuring it out. That's why I know so much about computers. It's not because my brain is just good. It's because I started earlier than most people. Are we cooked? Yeah, but like, like we'll be good leftovers later, so it'll be fine.
I don't think any of this is gonna matter.
Yeah.
I think when historians write the story of what's happening right now, the headline will be, how could they have been so stupid to ignore everything that was about to happen? We have the end of agriculture within 20 years, global food supply will end.
Mm-hmm.
Phosphorus depletion,
Yes.
nitrogen loading,
Seriously.
not even to mention the fact that thermohaline circulation has already started to collapse.
my God.
We have a forecast for 250 million climate refugees in the next 20 years. You know,
Biodiversity falling.
the power grid.
80% a year,
Yeah,
every year.
90% of all birds and insects have died since 1970.
Yeah.
Like, we are so fucked on so many
So
levels
many.
that, like, LLMs doing the bidding of Elon, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And the answer to all of these problems is the same, which is community building, solidarity building, networks of mutual aid, transitioning the source of fulfillment for your basic needs to things that you're able to provide for your community internally instead of things that you rent.
Yeah.
No more 1,000-mile Caesar salad supply chains.
Biochar, exactly. Elon Musk is going to be great for biochar. You know,
People always saying eat the rich. No, compost the
compost the rich.
We're gonna grow
They're
so
full
much
of
more
so many
veggies.
weird, gross pesticides and like,
Use the fungus first for processing
yeah,
the oil.
yeah, strange things that they put inside themselves. Their children's blood. You know, it's just like
Yeah, there are a lot of vampires
a
now.
lot of vampires.
Did you see this thing they're doing? Peter's trying to take over this island to start like a little vampire country.
Yeah.
It's an island off the coast of I think Honduras.
Yeah. Mm.
And they're trying to start like their little like medical research on the poor island, which they're already doing actually.
Well, yeah, they've been doing.
But they're
in
gonna like
Puerto
they want to like declare it its own country where Peter
Okay.
can be the vampire king.
Oh, maybe Puerto Rico. Oh, where else are they doing it?
Wherever people will look.
The place that is a United States territory.
Oh, Guam.
In Africa,
No, no,
Liberia.
More than one
no.
place.
That's probably happening in more than a place. It's a place that's a United States territory. It might be Puerto Rico. I think it's Puerto Rico. Yeah. Yeah. Wait. Is the picojoule and a nanojoule or a microjoule? Sorry.
Pajama.
Pajama joule. Yeah, one they burn pajamas.
Oh, they're talking about the there's this like thermodynamics argument that computing has a minimum power threshold to change the value of a bit based on the embodied heat of the system, and there's this difference with like there's this idea that you could change substrates and be subject to a different minimum threshold. So it's like it's like it's an argument against Moore's law that like we're approaching like the physical boundaries of what's possible, and
Yeah.
then a change in substrate away from silicon could be the answer to.
Yeah, I mean we're mostly like electron tunneling and the speed of light are the big problems, right? Right now, and
With the well, I think like right now like I have a 13700K.
oh yeah, you're that crazy like cluster thing.
No, like my CPU.
Oh,
The whole 13th and 14th generation of Intel chips is fucked
oh,
Yeah.
because they fucked up the lithography.
oh, okay.
So like we're in the scale that like the lithography itself is kind of fucked.
Yeah, because
Everybody tried to come up with new lithographies. We got this like UV thing
Yeah.
everybody's very excited about, but like personally, I kind of feel like why do we need like 2 nanometer process? Like a lot of the things that we're doing is kind of like why are we even doing that?
why don't we just have a larger plane of more parallelization?
Well, I mean, my DJ laptop just broke. The spicy pillow killed the M2, everything dead. It's all gonna be warranted,
Yeah.
luckily. Don't buy Razer. But I went on eBay and they have like MacBook Air from 2018. Basically the same specs as this $3,600 Ultrabook for $200. And it's like that's like how many generations ago of hardware? What have we really accomplished since then?
I don't know. I got the M3 over there, and it's really nice. It is fucking fast. Like, whoa, it's nice.
But
I get like
it's better at
80
certain
tokens.
specific things. Right, exactly. That part is better. But you could how many P40 cards could you buy for the same price? Right. This is why Intel just gutted their whole FPGA business.
Yes.
FPGA business.
Yeah. Well, this is what I mean about stuff like,
A lot of the older stuff is better, and it
Yeah.
costs nothing.
yeah. Well, this is also what I wonder about with stuff like, are they able to fake quantum computing and that kind of stuff is, it, we have a lot of old tech that's great, There was like the low power website, that people talked about, that's like run off the solar low tech magazine,
It's so good.
And it's like
People should check out Low Tech Magazine.
it's super cool. And it's run on a phone, right? Or did they yeah.
Like an old one.
I re-
Not even the new one, the old one.
I read this paper, maybe it was recently, about like just using smartphones as web servers and that
Yeah.
they're like blazing fast.
But also like an ESP32 can do all of that.
Yeah, it's true.
Like you really don't even need a computer for that.
You can host like a Jitsi instance on like a iPhone 9 or something like that.
It's kind of like we constantly talk about how like the smartphone in your pocket has more compute power than existed in the world when we went to the moon, right?
Yeah.
But like also the ESP32 in your LoRa node is like basically capable of doing like pretty much everything that we do.
Yeah.
Except for AI.
Yeah. It's true.
3% back.
Oh, geez. There it is. Enough. Also, are you tired of talking? That's also
Thing.
speed of light is irrelevant to quantum entanglement. Yes.
But also quantum entanglement is not what you think it is.
Yeah. What about close quantum blockchain? Why?
No.
For what?
The answer is no.
For what? No. I mean, I'm sorry. I just hate the blockchain. It's not good for any. People are like, well, it's a private. Okay, but it isn't private. Okay, well, it's robust against tampering. Okay, but it isn't. Okay, well, it's decentralized. Okay, but it isn't. Like, they forked Bitcoin. Like, it's not robust against decentralization. It's centralized.
They do it a lot. They're talking about doing it right now.
How many times have they forked Ethereum?
Because North Korea just hacked what was it? One of the exchanges and stole billions of dollars of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And they're like, we're just gonna fork Bitcoin.
We're just gonna, yeah, but they didn't do it for the Mt. Gox thing. Because Sam Bankman-Fried is so in the thing. Like, y'all,
It's not real.
it's not decentralized. It's not anonymous. It's not even private. And then people are like, oh, well, okay, but it's like it's public. It's super transparent. Okay. But it also isn't really that transparent either, right? Like, you can create enough confusion that you could do stuff like hide money. It's just that the average person tries to use it for like, on the internet purchasing something, and they use Monero, and then they're like, everything's fine. And then like all of the Monero wallets get deobfuscated and they're like, oh, and it suddenly wasn't fine. So it's fine until it isn't. It's safe until it isn't. It's decentralized until it isn't. It's transparent until it isn't. What is it good for? Wasting a lot of power? Like, it wastes more power than AI by so many orders of magnitude. So post-quantum blockchain,
The comments have a t-shirt for us.
T-shirt.
Someone's okay, it's two separate comments. One of them was quantum entanglement is not what you think it is. It should be a t-shirt.
Yes.
And then someone said quantum entanglement is what happens to my cords on my computer.
Yes. Accurate. Yes.
A lot of people, so like someone asked like to talk about teleportation. How do you everybody seems to think that it means I become over there, like the data does. That's not what happens. It's not this. It's just that the wave functions which are entangled collapse faster than the speed of light travels across the same distance. They collapse at the exact same moment, regardless of how far apart they are. That's all that happens. There's nothing moving. The teleportation just was not the right word to call.
You could only send one bit of information.
You can't send anything.
Like,
You can't send anything.
Yeah, it's
Even though there's like uncertainty,
yeah,
you can know where it is or where it's going.
right,
When you look at one, you can't know the other one.
right.
If you measure, if you collapse the wave function of a particle, which is entangled to another particle, you can be 100% sure that the other one will have the same wave function,
Mm-hmm.
but you can't send anything through that.
Right. You definitely can't send anything.
There's also like quantum
All you
eraser.
could tell was that somebody had collapsed it, but you also can't control the collapse. Is that correct?
You just measure it to collapse it.
Yeah, but you can't control which way. Like you can't say point it up or point it down.
No. So there's this idea that like you could potentially use a large number of entangled particles in order like a password,
Right.
but you still have to use encryption, which is broken already. Even if you have a good password,
Yeah.
you still can't. Encryption doesn't beat quantum.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that there's like I've seen this. I think PBS Spacetime talks about why you can't communicate faster than light. You know, it was like the Ansible in Ender's Game they talk about the quantum entanglement, right? And it's like we could just magically communicate over the distance. But like they kind of talk about you know, instantaneous quantum entanglement communication. I think it's PBS Spacetime that has like a really, really technical breakdown of exactly why you can't do that stuff. So,
Information cannot travel faster than the speed of light.
right.
Under
Because the speed of light is not about light. It's not about that it's just faster than light. Like light was like the slow old way, but the new way, like it's not actually about light. It's about the
Speed.
it's about the propagation of fields.
yeah, it's well, it's not about propagation. It's actually about it's a geometric thing. It's about at some point if you turn fast enough, it's now you're moving in time and not space is the problem because time and space are orthogonal, you know, in space time. They're like height and width. At some point, you can turn so far that you're now dealing with width and no longer with height. It's kind of like that, basically. Again, PBS Spacetime, an amazing, much better than me uh, breakdown as to why that happens.
Everyone's making jokes
Anxiety
about that.
does definitely communicate faster than light, for sure. That's the one thing. We can communicate immediately, quantum entangled anxiety, for sure. Yeah, it's causality. It's the speed of causality, which is light moves at the maximum speed of causality. Yeah, space time. Compost the Rich. Compost the Rich should also be a t-shirt, for sure.
I've seen it.
Could all this compute save the biosphere? No.
One of the other projects that we want to do, which is totally not related to this, but the other nonprofit, the Castro Media nonprofit, is going to have this thing where people can submit art for t-shirts and stuff and have it benefit a particular cause. And the nonprofit will handle all this. So you don't have to pay income tax on it. So like a GoFundMe of your art that's benefiting like UNRWA or like whatever you want the money to go to. So that's going to be another project that we have coming up.
Yeah. Get some more. Get some more Bitcoin hate. They love us. We are deep. We're so
Did they say
um just like it's so nice to hear some other that it's okay to hate Bitcoin and you know like yeah well you just don't understand it. Nah, sit down and I'll explain. Let's live code the algorithms. Let's do it. It's fine.
One of my best friends was one of the original engineering team at Coinbase. And
Oh yeah.
he's the biggest Bitcoin hater.
Oh yeah.
So
One of my former students was a product manager at Coinbase, at early product manager at Coinbase, but they also made episode on why cryptography is over after quantum.
did you work there? You didn't work there.
It would collapse. Autistic meltdown. Let's see. Yeah, lost more money in crypto. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's not real. I don't like, do people value it, and is it real in the sense that there is a market for it? Yes, there's absolutely a crypto market. That doesn't mean that the things people say about crypto are true. Those are fully distinct things.
Also, like it's like really strongly correlated with the S&P, the dollar value of the S&P.
Yeah.
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 Historically, it was really, really strongly correlated with the.
Which is why it's regulated by the Securities and Exchange Commission.
Yeah. Historically, it was really strongly correlated with the price of Coinbase, but there was this divergence that happened, which is accounted for by the rise of the other forms of exposure you can now have to crypto. So it's interesting.
Crosswired says, if I had a rod 1 million miles long and pushed it, will the other person on the other side see it instantly? No.
No. Do you know how fast they would see it?
The speed of light.
No.
No?
The speed of sound.
Oh, you're right, because it does just have to propagate through the material. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, the speed of propagation through a material, which is the speed of sound is different for different tubes. But yeah. What about an asset-backed tokenization? No,
Yes.
no. Stop trying to tokenize everything. It's not, it doesn't help anything. You don't get anything for it. You literally get nothing. For what token? Why do you need the token? They have tokens. They're called dollars. And there's a decentralized ledger called is it
Bank account.
yeah, ACH, the Automatic Clearinghouse, where you have all these you know, citizen-run institutions that are founded by just normal citizens that don't have a magical stamp of approval.
They're regulated against financial crimes and fraud.
Regulated against crimes and fraud, and they also, you know, they, yeah, they don't. And then, yeah, you know, it's the ledger is checked by the Automatic Clearinghouse people who run the automatic clearing. Anyway, it's a whole thing. Anyway.
I'm balancing this on a robot on 2 robotic arms because it's plugged in and I don't have.
You wanna?
Now it's broken. Look like dead.
God thing.
No, because I can't use the. I have like wallet built into it.
No mind.
Yeah, you tokenize for hype. Yeah, shared subjectivity is real. Bitcoin is an abstraction of an abstraction. I mean, it's stupid. You know, and it's mostly really hyped by people who are con artists and people who made a little money from a con artist and are now like, this could make me money, and they're very invested in it. That's most of the people who are not on purpose a con artist hold a lot of crypto and they're like, here, no, you don't understand, it's great, and it's really that they want to protect the value of their investment.
Question.
Yeah.
How do you feel about people who body shame or get dressing?
I don't think body shaming is the right way.
How do you say that?
How do I say that?
Because like anytime I post anything about him, everyone is commenting the name of the TV show where the people have the head that's shaped like his.
Oh, the cone heads. Oh, well, I was gonna say, okay, it's not like if it was like weight jokes or something like that, it's not cool. But I feel like there's not a lot of people who have,
Maybe a little bit is okay as a treat.
yeah, as a treat. Yeah, as a treat.
It's not.
Only specific certain things.
It's funny that it is kind of a discourse today of like I get a lot of people asking like how do we criticize someone without using slurs, and it's like, well, you just explain what they did that's wrong.
Yeah.
Like, but that doesn't feel this. It's not compelling.
It's not. Yeah, it doesn't feel like a good thing. I don't know.
I recently met with the city council here, and they were talking about that, about like how do we have media that connects with people, like all these like oligarch astroturf nonprofits are sending out mailers every day with the same lies, and we put together this like 200-page report debunking all of it, and nobody wanted to read it, and it's like,
You make a sassy video about it.
yeah,
Like you could say, I don't know, imagine focusing on the physical attributes of somebody when there are so many more attributes about their soul that are irrevocable that you could just drill on into. Because, you know, the choice of who we decide to be is so much easier to pick somebody apart for than something they have no control.
and you can say like Gary Tan is a fucking Nazi,
Right.
Balaji Srinivasan is a fucking Nazi.
Yes.
That's way more like effective than the other things you could say about that.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we have to figure out ways to be incisive without.
Yeah. So, like, you know, if you've ever received a compliment about something that you've decided to put on, it's different than if somebody comments your body. It just hits different. So, like, you know, it's the same thing. Right. We're talking about killing debt and money. I'm anti-capitalism, but debt is something that like animals do. You know, like it's like an emotional thing that binds groups together. I read Debt the First 5,000 Years. It'll change your thoughts about all of those things. Because there's no back to living it. There's no trade. The myth of the barter economy. There was no barter economy. That's another thing. You know, yeah. And this,
Also, like there are like amazing communist societies today.
oh yeah, yeah. And
Watch the TV show, you'll see what is not.
and you still get debt in those societies, right? Like, you know, it's just that it's non-formalized
Like
with
social debt.
currency. Yeah, it's social debt. It's like I came over and helped you when you had just first had your kid, and you know, you don't say that to somebody. You just kind of like, hey, will you come over? Help me? We're not having to get, you know, that's debt.
And when you take that too far, you become Naraya,
Right.
and look what happened. Communist public transportation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at East and West Berlin.
I don't think blockchain ever had the potential to change a lot of things for the better. I think it's an op, frankly. I mean, that's my I'll fully admit that that is a full conspiracy brain thinking thing, but I think it's an op because it just never did anything that it said it would do, and it sure did put a lot of people behind bars who weren't getting put behind bars prior to that. So
But somehow not Mark Andreessen yet.
somehow, no, I don't know.
How are Mark and Chamath not in jail?
They give political donations.
They both gave Trump a lot of money.
Yeah. I am running low on the steams.
Same.
So
We talked about taking a break for a few weeks and then doing these again.
Mhm.
So if anybody has any input on how that could change, or like, you know, how next time could be better, let us know in the Discord or the emails. Or did you know why the TDEC LilyGo website is down? We do
No.
not know.
we just found out.
But it doesn't.
Get it from Alibaba.
Yeah, try Alibaba.
Or like
Yes, there's
if you get it on Amazon, it's already here. You don't have to pay tariffs for it. So
Yeah.
get it wherever it's cheapest.
Mhm.
We crashed it.
we did.
Could be.
You can join anytime. We show up every day, but next week I'll be out of town and also on a very badly needed break. So. All right. We love you. Stay safe. Make friends. Literally, the revolution is the friends we made along the way. I mean that in such a literal way, you guys. Yeah.
Bye.